podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, March 13th, 2022. This is episode 1876. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. According to research, 90% of employers plan to enhance their employee experience this year. And if you need to add more employees, well, there's ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter's technology finds qualified candidates for your job, and you can invite your top choices to apply. Try ZipRecruiter free today, ziprecruiter.com/techguy. And by CashFly. CashFly is giving away a complimentary detailed analysis of your current CDN bill and usage trends. See if you're overpaying 20% or more at twit.cashfly.com. Whoa, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, augmented reality, the new Macintoshes, the new iPhone, all of that. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. The new Galaxy S22 Ultra. Just to be fair, 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. If you want to talk high tech, that's toll free in the U.S. And Canada. Outside that area, you could still reach me, but you'll have to use some sort of magic incantation, something like Skype, if you want to do that. 8888 Ask Leo. Website, techguylabs.com has everything you need. If you're listening to the show and you say, wait a minute, what? Wait, what? What, by the way? W-U-T. That's how the kids spell it. Wait, what? Doesn't imply kind of a what. If you say, wait, what? You can go to the website, techguylabs.com. Links will be there, as will all the audio and video from the show a couple of days after the fact, plus the transcript, so you can find whatever you need. techguylabs.com. Happy daylight saving time. I'm not a fan. Are you a fan? No, I like daylight saving time. I don't like going the other direction. But I have to say, once you've gone the other direction, going back to daylight savings time, no fun. Because now we lose an hour last night, right? On the worst night, you could lose an hour. Saturday night. That's the night. I mean, at my age, I go to bed at 9. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, I'm glad you made it. You're on time. Welcome. Good to see you. Starting a little early because the clocks sprang forward. And then nowadays, in most cases, of their own accord, which is kind of cool. John, you probably had to come in here and change a clock or two, though, I bet. There's 5 clocks in my office alone that are manual, that are not attached to the internet somehow. But your phone changes and your computer changes. Yeah. And we have a smart clock that ain't so smart because it has the wrong dates. Because it was made before the dates changed in, 2008 or something. In my house, it's the oven and the microwave. They're too stupid. But everything else. And I try to buy those clocks that, get their time from the radio waves, WWT or V, WWV, and most of the time that works pretty well. So that's cool. Anyway, happy daylight saving time. Also, happy Apple event, new Apple stuff. There's a funny picture. Apple announced a new computer, which we were waiting for with bated breath. You know, the lesson of the Apple event last week is not to believe the rumor mill, because they pretty much got a lot of it wrong. Now, they were right about there's a new iPhone SE 5G. That was a pretty safe bet. They were right about that. That's a $40 to $50 good choice for anybody who wants an iPhone but doesn't want to spend more than $1,000 for one. It's got the same processor in it as the current iPhone 13. It's better than my iPhone 12, but it's a little smaller. Still has a fingerprint reader, that home button. So it's, makes people, it's interesting that Apple keeps that. They got rid of it on everything else, but for some reason they keep it on the iPhone SE. And I think it's, maybe they think, oh, this is the phone for people who can't change with the times or something. I don't know. Like, why keep that? I don't know. Apple, in its infinite wisdom. They also announced a new iPad Air, which, is starting to catch up now with the iPad Pros and not only the design, but they have a Type-C connector, no more Lightning. I think that kind of is starting to pave the way for the elimination of Lightning across the board. Type-C should be everywhere. New iPad Air is very nice. Not the best-selling iPad. The best-selling iPad is the iPad Nothing, we call it. It has no designation. And it is $329, so that's a great price. But this one comes in at $599, close to the original iPad price. So that's nice. Got a fast processor. It's got the M1 in it, which is the Apple desktop processor. So actually, processors are really the story of last Tuesday. Apple is just like poof. They're just leaving everybody in the dust. Because they're designing their own, and they can design them to work with their hardware and, most importantly, with their operating system to work better. They said, we have a secret feature you didn't know about. Ha ha. You thought you knew everything with the leaks. We got a secret feature in our processors that allows us to connect them together like Lego pieces. And talk to each other at a super high speed. Now, by the way, Intel does this, AMD does this, everybody does this. When you get a quad core, you have 4 processors connected together. But the interconnect, the way the processors talk to each other on the new Apple stuff is reputedly, because nobody's tested it yet, but reputedly, according to Apple, really, really fast. Really, really fast. So that's good. That means Apple can, snap these things together and make. So this time they've got 2 die, each with its own unified memory and a fast interconnect to the other die so they can act as one. And boy, the speeds they're getting. So this was the Ultra. They have a Mac M1. That's in the iPad Air and the original M1 computers. The M1 Pro, which came out last year. No, last October. M1 Pro, M1 Max, which you'd think, maximum means the maximum. But no, there's one more step, at least. The M1 Ultra is the new one. And while we thought maybe they'd announce a new Mac Mini, they didn't. It was only the day before that people said, wait a minute, it's not a Mac Mini, it's a Mac Studio. And it doesn't look like all of the rumors that, it'll have a plexiglass top, blah, blah, blah. None of that. Now, you might ask, well, were they making that up? Probably not. Apple probably did have a prototype that had a plexiglass top. You know what happened? I know what happened. They put these chips in, and they went, whoa, that's hot. Because the Mac Mini is small. It's a really compact enclosure. Whoa, that's hot. How are we going to solve this? Oh, man. I know. We'll make it a little taller, not quite twice as tall, and put, they're not fans. They're turbines in there that take the air from, the hot air from the chip, make it an L turn and blow it out the back. And they're going to do it quietly because they're big old turbines, and, the bigger, the more air they move, the lower RPM, blah, blah, blah. Interesting, we're learning now that the Ultra, Mac Mini Ultra, the Mac Studio Ultra is 2 pounds heavier than what looks like exactly the same size case of the M1 Max in the Mac Studio. And it is because instead of using aluminum cooling fins and things, they're using copper, which is much more expensive these days, and heavier. So that kind of tells you something. Why would they use copper? Because it's hot. They need all the cooling they can get. So that makes sense. So probably Apple did, in the rumor mill, probably noticed it. Somebody in China said, here's a picture. Look, we're making them. Made prototypes with the plexiglass top and the same thin thing. And then they realized, oh, this is too hot. So they changed it. Forgot to tell the rumor mongers. It does leak out, like the day before it leaked out because when you're recording these events, which Apple does still, they don't have a studio audience coming into Cupertino or anything like that. They do all recorded ahead of time. So to bring in contractors, and these guys, you can't completely control them. So it leaked out. But yeah, if you were paying attention to the rumors, you might have missed the excitement. Anyway, I will have mine for next week's show, so I can talk a little bit about that. Now, it's the new monitor, too. There was a rumor. Again, the rumors got it wrong. Oh, 7K, they said. It'll be a 7K monitor. I don't know why anybody would want a 7K. It'll be a 7K monitor. And it wasn't. It was just your standard 4K monitor, but it was designed to work with the Mac Studio. And that's really the bottom line, I think, and we're starting to see this now leak out, is that's the new iMac. They're not going to make an all-in-one high-end iMac. They still have the 24-inch for people who want beauty. It's in color. It's super thin. It's gorgeous. If that's what you want in your living room, you get the 24-inch iMac. But if you want a power tool, there is no new iMac Pro or high-end or big-screen iMac. This is it. But when you pair the Mac Studio, it's even got a little tray on the new monitor, on top of the Mac Studio monitor, they go together perfectly. But here's the only really interesting thing in all this. Well, I mean, it's interesting because Apple is just making super fast stuff that nobody seems to be able to keep up with. That's of interest as well. But the other thing that's kind of interesting in all of this is that for some reason they've put a iPhone chip in the Mac monitor, the Mac Studio monitor, as fast as an iPhone 11. It's a A13 Bionic. Why? Why does this monitor need an iPhone inside? I think maybe, is there going to be a TV? Is it going to be, I mean, it does, hey, Shlomo, hey, you know who, but you don't need a A11 or A13 for that. iPhone 11 chip for that. It does the center stage thing where the camera zooms in on you and moves around. You don't need that fast a processor for that. There's something else they want to do with this monitor. Why else would you put, unless you had a warehouse full of A13 chips that you couldn't sell. Maybe that's why. I don't know. I think there's something there, another secret, but we'll find out. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. I want to talk high tech, and I want to do it with you. It's silly for me just to sit here going on and on. Nobody wants to hear that. So give me a ring. 8888 Ask Leo. We'll talk high tech next on the Tech Guy. Sam Abuelsamid coming up too, the car guy. Well, also you don't need it because they even said for use with Siri you need a computer. So it isn't doing the Siri work; it's just doing the listening. There's more than meets the eye in that one. Well, there's another shoe to drop. Unless Apple just said, "Yeah, we got all these A13s. Just put them in the monitor." I think they're up to. I think they've got something else going on there. Either Face ID, even that you don't need A13 for, but you need better. I think it's going to be a HomeKit hub, maybe. And then Alex Lindsay said, there's one step closer to that Apple TV everybody's talking about. This is a faster processor than is in the Apple TV. The high-end Apple TV. It's a faster processor than that. Yeah, it's like an iOS monitor. You should definitely call 8888 Ask Leo. You'll talk to this person right here, our phone angel, Kim Schaffer. Hello, Kim.
Hi.
Was it hard getting up an hour earlier? Yeah.
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 And you know what really sucks?
What?
Dogs don't care.
I was thinking that.
I'm taking care of a dog that, for some reason, like clockwork, gets up at 6:48 a.m.
Now
well,
5:48.
He got up at 6:48 a.m. Didn't matter.
Yeah.
It was 5:48 a.m. in my mind.
I was thinking that. I was looking, the little birds come to feed on our bird feeders in the backyard. Those little birds, nobody sent them the memo that we were going to set the clock forward, little birds.
And it was darker, so I don't know why the heck he was up.
It wasn't darker. It's the same exact as it was yesterday. They're going by the sun, not by the clock.
I didn't think that there was
made
any
up this
light.
thing called a clock.
I let him out in the dark, so.
Yeah, but it says, right? 5:48 is still 5:48 sun time. It's very confusing. They're not changing the clocks in Europe till later. So now we're out of sync with the rest of the world again.
You mean another month or another week?
Later this month, I think. A couple of weeks. I can't remember. Yeah. So it's just, stop the insanity.
We just need to stay here. This time.
Well,
just need
now,
to stay.
people say that. In fact, California voted it.
Yeah, we voted.
But you can't do that because that requires more than just us saying, hey, we're going to stay this time. because it's our time zone is global. You know, that time zone we're in is not just us. It's everybody in our longitude is that time zone. So you can't just, say, I don't want to be in our time zone. You're in it, dude. So if we stuck with the time, it would be standard time, which would be bad. In fact, that's why, even though we voted for it in California, it ain't going to happen.
So that's what Arizona and Hawaii are in?
I don't understand how they get away with it. Well, Hawaii's a different time zone, so that's okay. They're allowed. Arizona, but what did they stay with? Standard, right? They didn't stay with daylight saving. They're mountain, whatever. The mountain standard, though, right? They're not.
I can't keep track.
Yeah. So you could stay with standard. You don't need a special rule to do that, like Arizona does and parts of Indiana or whatever. But you could stay with your standard time. But I don't think you can just say, hey, world, we're now saving time. And that's what everybody wants. Problem is, that's what they want in the summer. You don't know if you want it in the winter. I don't think you want it in the winter. I don't know. It's complicated. I'll tell you what. I would
just like to not do this. I don't mind falling back, but the springing forward thing screws me up.
I just got to tell you, you want my vote for president? Fix this one.
Yep.
That's all I care about.
The only issue.
It's the only issue.
The one issue.
Inflation, don't worry about it. War in Ukraine, who cares? Fix daylight saving time. And can you do something about the orbit of the moon, says John, who is our space nut. Okay. Who should I talk to here?
Let's go to garlic country, or garlic capital of
Gilroy?
Gilroy.
Gilroy. Hello, Gilroy. Thank you, Kim. Hi, Chris. How are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing good, Leo. We spoke back in June. I had bought a MacBook Air, and I was talking about dual monitors.
Yes.
And you helped me out with the pluggables, so I wanted to thank you for that.
Did that work? Were you able to get two monitors working?
Yes, I've got
good.
my ultra-wide monitors working with it.
Nice. Did you had to put some software on it or something?
Display Link.
The driver.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the original M1s, including your Air, didn't nominally support two monitors, but there is a way to make it work.
Correct. It just needs to have the Display Link docking station.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Good.
then my wife was 9 months pregnant at the time. So
congratulations. Was it a boy?
Yes, he is a boy.
He's a boy.
Was 7 months old on Friday.
Oh wow. Isn't it amazing? That's been 7 months already and he's a big boy. Nice.
It is. A lot's actually been going on in that 7 months. I decided to become a small business owner and bought a farmer's insurance agency in Morgan Hill, California.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you. So, yeah.
Exciting move. You know, having a kid, certainly for me, got me more serious about my career. It's like, I got to pay for college in 18 years. I got to get a little more serious about what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I took over officially on the 1st, and so it's still in the beginning stages. And the agent I bought from was in business for 45 years, since like 1976.
Nice established business. That's a smart way to do it. That's good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so she has really old paper files, and me watching you for 20 years and everything like that. When I come down from Gilroy from Travis Air Force Base, visit my parents and everything. And building computers, I want to move things into the digital age. So I'm looking for a decent duplex scanner. We do have an Epson EcoTank in the office, but it's not a duplex scanner. So
when you say duplex, you mean two sides at once?
Yeah.
Just to define terms. So instead of having to flip it over, which is really annoying, although some duplex scanners actually do flip it over, they just do it mechanically. But the best way to do it is to have two cameras, one on each side, and then you can scan both sides at once. Epson does make a scanner called the Fast Photo. It's expensive for this reason, that will do that, scan both sides. I have that. And it's, they call it the Fast Photo because they call it a photo scanning system. The reason it's got both sides, it'll scan the back. So if you've written notes on your prints and stuff, but it turns out the sheet feeder is very good and it holds regular paper. And so it's a regular scanner as well. It's also high speed, which you kind of need for duplex because otherwise it would take twice as long. You don't want that.
Right.
So Epson does make a few duplexes. I think they're very good. I like the Fast Photo. 8888 Ask Leo. Sam coming up. Let me see if I can find you a review. PC Mag. You know, I can't review all of these. There's too many of them. Yes.
Right.
Let's see. PC Magazine, which usually does the printer reviews and the scanner reviews. Let me see if they break it down by Duplex. I've been very happy with the Fast Photo. I mean, that thing is amazing. But it's like $600 or $700. It's very expensive. So maybe there's a better way to do Duplex for less. Yeah, because that would be a lot faster. What is this Fujitsu Scan Snap? It's $400. It has. It looks like it might be Duplex. Let me see if it is.
Okay.
Yeah, they really ought to be clear. Anybody in the chat room have a recommendation? Oh, Irvine Rob has one. Irvine, is this a Duplex like you put one thing in and it'll scan both sides on one pass? He's got one of these. He says, I love it. I love it. It's PC Magazine pick, but I'm trying to figure out if it's Duplex. It's very fast, 40 pages a minute. Wow. Or you can get the 500, which is 30 pages a minute. See, that seems like that by itself, with a sheet feeder, of course. And that's kind of what the Fast Photo does. It looks so much like the Fast Photo. I'm going to guess it's Duplex. I'm going to guess it's probably the same. Probably Epson gets it from Fujitsu, would be my guess. Mm-hmm. So, and PC Magazine loves it. The Fujitsu Scan Snap, and there's the 500 or the 600, but they're super fast Duplex. And you can kind of tell when you look at them because they got a sheet feeder, right? And that kind of implies, well, because Duplex, if you put, so what? You put one thing in and it scans both sides, no big deal. The idea is you're going to scan both sides as you go. The 600 is $419 right now. PC Mac. This is weird. It looks like the 500 is more expensive, maybe because it's older. And then they also have a 300 is less expensive. I don't know if that's Duplex, but I would, yeah. Irvine Rob says it scans to other PCs, network. Great software, says Dan. Boy, the chat room's going crazy. They love this scan snap. So, in fact, now it makes me want to buy one. Sold. Fujitsu Scan Snap IX 1600 is right now $419 at Amazon. It is expensive, but I think that's in the nature of things for a Duplex because you have to have cameras on both sides. This might flip it over. I don't know. Does it flip it over, Irvine Rob? I don't think at that speed it could. It has to be doing both sides at once, right? One pass Duplex color scanner. Epson has a clearance sale right now on the Fast Photo. Oh. Or the Epson ES400 now down to $329. Yeah. Twisted Mister says there are two sensors. So does Irvine Rob on the Fujitsu. I think the Fujitsu looks like the right one. I'll put a link in the show notes to PC Magazine. It's there. It says reader favorite and editor's choice. So I think PC Magazine liked it a lot. Xerox has a Duplex scanner for $259. The Xerox Duplex Combo Scanner. That's also an editor's choice. If you look at that article, I think it's going to give you some ideas of the pros and cons. Congratulations on the baby. What's his name?
His name is Dylan Alexander.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Isn't it interesting how it kind of spurs you to go, oh, I gotta grow up here.
I was definitely content being a district life manager for Farmers Insurance in South San Jose, but yes, this
is perfect. So it's already a business you know well.
Yes.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
So, and if you need some insurance, let me know.
I will. Thank you, Chris. Always be selling. Always be closing, right?
Absolutely. Yes, always be closing. ABC.
Thanks, Chris. Have a great day.
I appreciate it.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Sam Abuelsamid is here, our car guy. We're going to talk cars, but before we do, the chat room went crazy when I mentioned the Fujitsu Scan Snap scanner, Duplex scanner. They all love it. They said the best software, works very well in an office. And by the way, PC Magazine gave it a very high rating, and in fact said it's their editor's choice. So I think we've converged. Mentioned that the fast photo, which is good. In fact, this looks a lot like a fast photo, so I wonder if it might even be the same guts as the fast photo. Fujitsu's ScanSnap for duplex, two-sided scanning. Sam has a beautiful automobile behind him, a lemon yellow Volkswagen. I can tell from the V-dub on the front. But this is a special kind of Volkswagen.
This is after many, 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 many years and multiple different concepts that have been shown by VW over the last 20 years. It's finally the return of the classic bus. The
Oh
VW
my
microbus.
gosh. I always wanted a VW bus because I'm an old hippie.
Yeah,
How
well,
cool.
this is probably the ultimate hippie mobile. It's the VW ID Buzz is what it's called, and that ID is your clue that this is electric. That's the branding that VW is using on all their electric models. So this is based on the same platform as the VW ID3 and the ID4 and other upcoming electric Volkswagens. So that means it's got the battery under the floor, so you got a nice flat floor throughout the thing. Wheels are pushed out to the corners, just like the original microbus. It's rear-wheel drive, but instead of a flat four-cylinder air-cooled engine at the back, you've got a little electric motor back there that's pushing it around.
A different kind of sewing machine.
Yeah, very different kind of sewing machine.
There's a lot of nostalgia for this, but do you think it would be a good vehicle?
Oh yeah, I think it's going to be fantastic, and I know a few people that that got a chance to drive a prototype in Hamburg about a month or so ago before they officially unveiled it this past week. And
Miriam Chouar was able to see it at
impressed.
South by Southwest in Austin this week.
Yeah, they're doing demo rides this week in Austin.
It's fun because they have it parked next to the original VW bus.
Yep.
So it's kind of fun to see the two of them side by side. It looks like, I thought at first it looked a little smaller, but it's the same. It's roughly the same size as the original.
Yeah, it's actually pretty close to the same size. Minivans have gotten a lot bigger over the years.
That's probably why, right? Yeah.
Yeah, this is actually pretty close in size to the original bus, the original VW Type 2. But this is not the version we're getting here in North America. This version is for Europe. So this is a shorter wheelbase, 2-row, 5-passenger model.
Okay.
Here we will get a slightly longer version with 3 rows of seats.
Oh, good.
So it's closer in size, more competitive with the likes of the Chrysler Pacifica, the Kia Carnival, Toyota Sienna, and Honda Odyssey.
One of the things the old buses has is humps in the middle for the rear wells. You're not going to worry about that in these because of the battery. It's flat, and the wheels are moved down a little bit.
Well, the hump in the middle of the old bus
That's
was
the
because
transmission, or
well, you had the engine and the transmission at the back, so you had that hump at the back, and then up the front, you were actually sitting on top of the wheels because it was a cab forward setup.
Right.
So you were actually sitting in front of the front wheels on that one. That's no longer anything that can pass any kind of crash standards. So now they've pushed the wheels out to the corners, so you got a long wheelbase, lots of room inside, and you're sitting behind the front axle.
So it's a little safer. Those snub noses make me nervous because I feel like I'm right in the front, like I'm riding on front of the.
Yeah, no, you're still sitting back far enough back, and these have to pass the same crash standards as every other modern vehicle, and actually. Because the wheels are pushed out to the corners, the toughest crash requirement is what they call small offset rigid barrier test.
Yeah.
Which kind of simulates what is actually a very common kind of scenario in the real world. Where you got oncoming vehicles in opposite directions. One kind of swerves over the center of the road, and you don't have a straight head-on crash, but you have a partial overlap. That's what this test does, and that's actually a really hard test to provide passenger protection from. And so this has got to pass that new small offset crash test, and pushing the wheels out to the corners like that actually makes it easier, because the problem with that test is on older vehicles, often the wheels will intrude into the passenger compartment and break legs and other bad things. And so having the wheels pushed out to the corners like that, it gives them more room to get it so that in that kind of a crash, the wheels will actually move out and back around the passenger compartment.
Nice. I mean, not nice, because you don't want to have that happen. But.
Well, I mean, it's better to, if you're in that kind of crash, it's better for that to happen than for it to come into
eat
the
wheels. Yeah,
exactly.
That wouldn't be any fun. What is the purpose of this form factor? Can you take the seats out and make it be kind of a cargo van? Camp in it?
You can take the seats out. In fact, in Europe, they're even selling it as a cargo van for small businesses to use. They're not going to sell the cargo van version here in North America because of the dreaded chicken tax, which puts an extra 25% tariff on imported trucks. But we will get.
Why
do
they call that
version.
the chicken tax?
It's a long story, and I'll explain it during the break.
Okay. It's okay, Leo. We'll explain later. So when will this be available in the U.S.? I think this is the cutest little thing.
It's coming here in 2024. So if you're in Europe, you'll be able to get it late this summer. They start taking orders in May. It goes on sale late summer. And then it'll be here in 2024, the longer wheelbase version.
I'm thinking for me, it might be, my lease runs out on my Mustang Mach-E at that time. I thought it might
This would be a good replacement.
Because we were thinking of getting a pickup truck or something, Oh, they're doing
a California camper version too, with the pop-up, like the old Westphalia campers.
Oh, those are so fun. It's just nostalgia, really, for me. Yeah. But do you think this is pretty practical and it'll be a good vehicle?
Absolutely.
What's the mileage?
Sliding doors on both sides. They haven't said yet, but it should be probably somewhere between 250 and 300 miles. The U.S. version, because it's longer, I think they may put a larger battery in it, so it could do even better.
Is the whole bottom a battery?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Right. Okay. Everything between the axles is the battery.
That's actually a good thing for drivability because it gives you a very low center of gravity. It makes it very stable.
Yep. It does.
And that was always, I'll never forget driving a VW bus over the Golden Gate Bridge.
Top heavy.
A little scary.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Hey, before we run out of time, I want to give a plug for something I'm going to be doing this week. I'm actually, I'm going to be at South by Southwest this week for the first time, my first time ever.
You're going to love it. It's so much fun. And they're back.
And
they had to cancel a couple of them because of COVID, so I'm glad to hear that.
I've been invited to interview Peter Rawlinson on stage at the convention center on Thursday afternoon. Peter is the CEO and CTO of Lucid Motors.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
So
now, do I have to be at South by Southwest to see this, or will they stream it or anything?
They're doing South by is hybrid this year, so it's both online and in person.
Oh.
So if you're attending online, you can see it online as well. And Peter, in addition to currently running Lucid Motors, his previous job before that is he was the chief engineer on the Tesla Model S. So I get a whole hour on stage with Peter to ask him all kinds of questions. So if you are in Austin on Thursday, attending South by Southwest, please come by the convention center, the main stage there, and I will be talking with Peter Rawlinson at 1:30 Central Standard Time.
Nice. My friend Amy Webb is speaking right now with her emerging tech trend report. Neil Stevenson is going to be back doing his traditional keynote. Some of these things will be free, like you can watch Beck for free, but then there's also an online pass. And I think your talk, you have to have the online.
Yeah, you'll have to have a pass to see mine.
Yeah. South by is back. I'm so glad. SXSW.com. And Sam, I'm glad you're down there. Have a great time in Austin. I know you will. Guidehouse Insights is his employer. He's a principal researcher there. And don't forget the Wheel Bearings podcast. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oh, man, I'm jealous. Now I want to go. That's fun. I love South by.
It's not too late.
No, I guess not. It's just kind of kicking off today, really.
Started on Friday.
Friday, okay.
Yeah, so my session with Peter will be on Thursday afternoon.
Nice. That'll be interesting. What are you going to ask him?
Oh, I've got a whole list of questions to talk about. What Lucid's doing. What their overall strategy is. Talk about
that's the other one. I wouldn't mind having a Lucid. I think those will be more expensive than the Buzz.
Although there's a cheaper version of it coming next year.
I'm going to have a lot of choices in 2024. It's going to. Yeah.
There'll be plenty to choose from.
John wants me to get an electric Land Rover.
Those will be a few more years yet before those show up. But we'll be talking about their focus on efficiency, energy efficiency, why that's so important for an EV, and all kinds of stuff. I've got a whole long list of questions for them.
Nice.
Kind of what is the company's long-term strategy, and maybe we'll even get them to spill a little gossip about Elon.
Nice. What does he know about it? Did he work for?
Well, he was the chief engineer on the Model S.
Oh. Ooh, that should be interesting.
Yeah, he's responsible for what the Model S became.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be really interesting.
Yeah, so it should be fun. I've talked to Peter on several occasions before. I did a panel with him at a conference a few years ago, and first met him back in 2016. And always a really interesting guy. Actually, Lucid just launched a new YouTube series called Lucid Tech Talks. And if you want to do a deep dive on all geeky things related to EVs, you should check this out. I will find the link and send it to you. I'll put it in the chat. The first episode is like 35 minutes long, going into batteries and why they sized the batteries the way they did. And the table that he's standing at, is a whiteboard, and he's got samples of the batteries and cells and modules, and he's writing out equations, going through the math, showing you how they figured out what they wanted to do on the Lucid Air, and it's great, for this audience. I think you should definitely check it out. It's a lot of fun.
Nice. I'm gonna have a lot of choices in 2024. I don't know what I'm gonna.
Oh yeah. As of last year, like as of last fall, there were 20 different EV nameplates available for sale in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of this year, there will be 40.
Wow.
By the end of next year, it'll be probably close to double that again.
So really, I'll have the choice of anything. It'll be more like buying a regular vehicle where I can choose what I want.
Exactly. Yeah. You're gonna have stuff at all different price points, different sizes, different body styles, different types of vehicles.
We didn't get to the chicken tax, and then I also was going to ask you, Ford has announced that they're going to start shipping vehicles missing some chips, which they'll send to the dealers later.
Well, GM's already been doing this for a while.
I know they didn't have seat warmers in some of the GM vehicles.
Yeah. So I can talk about the chicken tax in the next segment.
Okay. And I will be asking, of course, for your advice in about 2 years on what to do. I love my Mach-E. There's nothing wrong with it. So it's a very good choice, but it's a lease. So part of the reason we lease it is so I can try other vehicles.
Well, I'm glad it worked out well for you.
I think the Buzz would be a good, because we need a car. Eventually, it's going to be our only vehicle. And then we need a cargo, vehicle as well.
Yep. Well, the Buzz would be great for that, because it's a van, so you can fold the seats down, take them out, use it for all kinds of stuff.
Right.
And if you get the camper, you can camp in it.
All right. Talking a few.
All right.
The Tech Guy Show brought to you today by ZipRecruiter. Oh, yes. I saw a post talking about employees and how to keep them happy. 90% of employers are saying, look, retention's important, right? You train somebody, you get them fit into your company, you want to keep them. 90% of employers are working on enhancing the employee experience in 2022. I think that's a really good thing. We've got better benefits for our employees this year. We've got a 4-day work week, a month of vacation time, that kind of thing. But even just using, making your employees part of the process, asking them questions can make a big difference. More learning opportunities for employees, funding their education, more flexible work schedules, considering their feelings. ZipRecruiter says this is all important, and if it's time to add employees, they want you to know ZipRecruiter has the technology that help you find the right people for your team fast. Right now, you can try ZipRecruiter free at ZipRecruiter.com/techguy. ZipRecruiter makes it so easy to post You put it up on ZipRecruiter. It goes to 100-plus job boards and social networks and so forth, so you cast the widest possible net. But ZipRecruiter does something unique that's wonderful. They have, I think at current count, 1 million current resumes in their database because employees come to ZipRecruiter to look for work, and they will go through those resumes, match them to the job opening you've got, and if there's a good match, they will tell you, hey, you should ask this guy to apply. He's going to be good. They use their technology to find and match the right candidates up with your job and then present those candidates to you. And by the way, we know when you invite a candidate to apply to a job, they're flattered. They're much more likely to apply, to show up for the interviews, to take the job. They're going to be a better employee. It's a great way to encourage people to apply faster. Just one of many reasons ZipRecruiter is the #1 rated hiring site in the U.S. That's from G2 ratings, by the way. In fact, ZipRecruiter's technology is so effective that 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within a first day. In our experience, we've used ZipRecruiter many times. It's often within the first hour. People go, oh, yeah. It's incredible. Find the right employees for your workplace right now with ZipRecruiter. Try it free. Our special address, make sure you use this now, ZipRecruiter.com/TechGuy. Please use that so they know you saw it here. ZipRecruiter.com/TechGuy. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Thank you, ZipRecruiter. It's all right. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. Doug on the line from St. Louis, Missouri. Hello, Doug.
Hello, Leo. How are you today?
I am great. Welcome. What's up?
Well, I'm wanting to get a smartwatch, and I was just kind of wanting to know what your opinion is on the TicWatches, or if you ever heard of them, or
So really, when you get a smartwatch, you're really going to be looking at, I think, what phone you're going to use. So if you're going to use an iPhone, you're going to get an Apple, watch, obviously. If you're an Android, then that is a little broader range of choices. So this TicWatch is from mobvoi.com, and it's like it's like the Fitbit or the other the Garmin. I don't have any direct experience with it, so I can't give you an exact input. It would kind of work with an iPhone because it's Google's Wear OS, but it would work best with an Android device. So if you're an Android user, then that's the whole world opens up because there's Samsung watches, there's Fossil makes Android Wear watches. Google, we're pretty sure, is going to at some point in the next few months announce their own smartwatch. This one looks pretty cool, but I don't know anybody who has one, so I guess I'm going to have to get one. One of the advantages is they make one with GPS. Are you a runner?
No, but I do like that feature.
Yeah.
To just have it,
So neither the Apple Watch nor the Samsung Watch have GPS built in. They rely on the phone for location tracking. But if you want to run, or if you pay attention to where you're going, maybe a hiker using Strava or something like that, having a built-in GPS in the watch is great. Now, that's going to affect battery life, obviously, and it's going to make the watch bigger. They have a $100 version. The prices are low on these things, which is kind of interesting. They have a $100 version that looks just like an Apple Watch. The GPS is going to cost you a little bit more. But what would you use a smartwatch for? Why do you want a smartwatch?
Well, just so I don't have to dig my phone out of my pocket.
So it's the alerts. Yeah, so there are various reasons people wear a smartwatch. One of them is notifications. The smartwatch is kind of like a sidecar on a motorcycle. It doesn't do everything the motorcycle does. It needs the motorcycle. But if you want the notifications, so you don't have to pull out your phone. Some people actually use these smartwatches to see what time it is. That's rare, but that's another feature. And you want to look for if that's the case, you want to look for an always-on capability. And then really the issue then becomes you have things like GPS, always-on, notifications, is what kind of battery life are you going to get? And I don't know what the TicWatch, let me just see.
It's supposed to be pretty good. It has a always-on. You can do always-on, plus it has a secondary display where it's just kind of a...
That's the watch part, yeah.
Not all the fancy stuff, you just see
kind of a low-power version of it. That's what, the other thing about a lot of these watches, if you use them for fitness, is when they're doing the fitness tracking, often that includes heart rate, that suddenly the battery life goes way down. You know, my wife, who is much fitter than I, doesn't get nearly the battery life on her Apple Watch that I do because she's tracking her exercise. So that's another thing to keep in mind. So there's notifications. We mentioned health, which is a big one, activity monitoring. Some of these will coach you through workouts, things like that. There's also, let's not forget, you can use these for payments, which is, I use my Apple Watch all the time now. COVID really kind of propelled that because I didn't want to touch anything. I didn't want to take out money. They didn't want my money or my credit card. And just the ability, and now I just use it everywhere. It's like, oh, good, I'll just use my Apple Watch. Everybody's got that. If it supports touchless payments, that is definitely a plus. Now, we do have one guy, just one in the chat room, who has a TicWatch, Wizardling. He says, terrible experience for him. It was awful. He had the S2. Now, it might have gotten better. He said, too little RAM, slow, buggy, unreadable screen and sunlight, bad battery life. On the other hand, Aaron K. Lapp in the chat room says, I have a TicWatch and I really like it. It may come down to which model you get. He had the S2, which was kind of the lower end TicWatch. So I can't...
Yeah, I was looking at the newer one.
Yeah. The S2 is the older model, so they may have gotten better. I just don't know this company. Look, they make a variety of things, including a treadmill, and they're an interesting business. Mobvoi. I wonder who they are and where they're from. They also make earbuds and a $449 treadmill, which is a very inexpensive treadmill. I don't know anything about them, so I don't know, and I haven't used this. An AI company focusing on advanced voice interaction and hardware software integration. They've been around since 2012. That's a good sign. Ex-Googler, Jiffy Lee with the aim, to. Okay, so it's the only firm in China equipped with its own Chinese voice recognition, semantic analysis, blah, blah, blah. So they are, not surprising, a Chinese company. They make them in China, but so does everybody, right? That's not a knock in any way. Looks like they're based in Hong Kong. So Aaron K. Lapp doesn't remember which model he says. It's based on Wear OS, as are all the current models. You're an Android user, I would guess, yeah?
Yeah, I have a Galaxy S10 Plus.
Yeah, I have to say I've been very impressed, I do have this new Samsung Gear Watch, and it's very nice. I really like it, and it will do all those notifications. One of the things I like about the Samsung Gears, especially the one I have, the newest one, is it has a rotating bezel, which is a very nice control feature. I wouldn't.
I saw that. I wish the TicWatch had that. That would.
It's a very nice feature. So you might. I mean that's what I have, the Watch 4 Classic. You might be comparing it to the Watch 4 Classic. I think it's a good-looking watch, not the best-looking band. I wish they had. One of the things Apple did that was brilliant was make it really easy to change the bands. And so you accessorize the Apple Watch by having more than one band. And Apple's smart because they charge a lot for their bands, make a lot of money. I would say, not having any experience with the TicWatch, but I do have experience with the Galaxy Watch, several Galaxy Watches. I had a S3 Frontier, and now I have the Watch 4 Classic. Really do a good job. The heart rate's excellent. That's another thing to consider. Apple, I think, of all of the activity monitors, has the best heart rate, maybe Garmin, but Apple's done a very good job using AI to make sure that their heart rate really works well in a variety of circumstances. I think both the Samsung and Apple are smart about what you're doing. They'll say, hey, it looks like you're rowing or you're taking a walk. As for notifications, they all work about the same. The nice thing about that bezel on the Samsung is that's an easy way to get to the notifications, is to rotate the bezel. You just turn a little bit counterclockwise, or actually clockwise, and there's all your notifications. So I don't know anything about the TicWatch, but you've got two people who have them. One likes it, one doesn't. so I don't know. Apparently, Aaron says our Android show did review it. all about Android. Twit.tv/AAA. Did review it a couple of weeks ago, so you might take a look at that. Aaron has the TicWatch Pro 3 with GPS. So that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. That seems to be the one you would probably get, right? The higher end with GPS. I love GPS. I wish.
$99.
Yeah. That could be good or bad.
Right.
You know? Great price. I would probably read more reviews if possible, you know. I don't know anything about it, though. But thank you for calling. Keep watching. Keep listening. Chat room has a couple of opinions. And I'll keep looking for more. Maybe get a review from somebody. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Given my awful support experiences, Wizardling, making me pay for returns, taking ages, if the caller does go with a TicWatch, don't buy direct from Mobvoi unless you're close to Hong Kong, I suppose. Okay, that's good to know as well. All right, Sam, guess who? It's you. Chicken tax.
Well, before that, one more thing. The NVIDIA GTC is coming up the week after.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if we should stream that.
Not this week, but next week.
Yeah, should we stream it, you think? And do what we did last year?
Possibly. I'm not sure yet. I know there's going to be some interesting announcements. I haven't been briefed yet. But the keynote, Jensen Huang's keynote, is on March 22nd at 8 a.m. Pacific. I know. It's before you're
I'm so lazy. I am so lazy. 8 a.m. March 22nd is a Tuesday.
Yeah.
So that is right where iOS Today is. I think we're going to pass this year, I think.
Okay. No worries.
Yeah. I'll let you know. Let me talk to the editorial team and see if they think we should do it. If they decide we want to do it, then I will, of course, it will do it with you. I wouldn't want to do it with anyone else.
Okay. Well, I'll be watching it anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, it might be worth watching. It was fun doing it last year, especially after we found out that Jensen was digitized for some of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Pretty wild. All right, I'm going to get a cup of coffee.
So the chicken tax.
Have it. Yes, I'll be listening.
So the deal on the chicken tax, it was imposed by President Johnson in 1964 in response to a tariff imposed by European countries on U.S. chicken imports. American farmers were dumping chicken in the European market, and so West Germany and other European countries imposed a hefty tariff on U.S. chicken imports. So in response, President Lyndon Johnson imposed a countervailing tariff on a variety of products, including potato starch, and what else here? Potato starch and trucks, imported trucks was the big thing. That's the only one of those tariffs that is still in place. The other stuff has long since been dropped or lowered. And there's a 25% tariff on imported trucks, which is one of the reasons why, for example, when Japanese automakers started ramping up sales of pickup trucks in the U.S. market, one of the first vehicles that they started assembling in the U.S. was pickup trucks. Nissan did it with their little compact pickup trucks in the 1980s. Toyota did it with the Tacoma, and now with the Tundra. Honda does it with the Ridgeline, and so they all these are all built domestically because otherwise they would have to pay a 25% import tax, and this has led to some peculiar business policy decisions over the years. Like, for example, back in 2010, when Ford first started importing the Transit Connect, which is their compact van, to the U.S. market. They'd been selling it in Europe for a long time, but they started bringing it to the U.S. market. And the previous gen version was built in Turkey. The current one is built in Spain. They actually bring them in. The tax only applies to trucks used for cargo. They're primarily for cargo. So pickup trucks, cargo delivery vans, that sort of thing. When Ford started bringing the Transit Connect to the U.S., they imported all of them as passenger vans that had windows all around and seats all around. And then at the port, after they had cleared customs, they were sent to a special facility, a special partial disassembly facility where they took off the sliding doors with the windows, ripped out the seats and much of the interior, and installed panels where the windows were before, and to create the cargo van versions. And the other parts were thrown away. The seats, and it seems kind of wasteful, but compared to the 25% tax, it was a lot cheaper. So this is why VW has decided not to bring the ID Buzz cargo van to the U.S. market, because they would have to pay that 25% chicken tax. Okay, so other things about the ID Buzz, one of the interesting features that it has is bidirectional charging capability. So this is something that is coming to more and more vehicles now. And actually, there was an announcement earlier this week from PG&E and General Motors, and then later Ford was added to that as well, that they're going to start a bidirectional charging pilot program this summer, and then with lab testing this summer, and then bringing consumers into the pilot program in the fall. And the idea here is you've got this big battery in your EV that during times when there's high demand or if there's power outage or whatever, you should be able to use some of that power to power your house. And actually, your house, surprisingly enough, generally takes a lot less power than your vehicle does. So a vehicle like the ID Buzz with a 78 kilowatt hour battery pack can actually power your house for at least a couple of days.
Ford has been showing running. That in their ad for the Lightning for a while.
The F-150 Lightning.
You could do it if you just had an alternator, right?
Yeah, an inverter.
Inverter, I mean.
Right, and that's what Ford is doing. Ford is partnering with Sunrun, the solar installer. And so the vehicles are all equipped with the bidirectional charging capability, so they can put power out as well. But you have to get this inverter from Sunrun installed, so it's got a transfer switch.
And we have two Tesla Powerwalls, and those are basically old Tesla batteries, I think, right?
Well, originally they were old Tesla batteries. Now they're made from new cells because they use different cells now from the ones that are in the cars.
We have two of them, so. The idea being
that's only 14. That's only 14 kilowatt hours.
Oh, is that all really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're only 7 kilowatt hours each.
That's right.
That's enough to keep you going through the night at least.
Right. And we have the solar panels, which could, in theory, charge them during the day, and then.
Yep. So the system that Ford is selling, the intelligent power backup, is designed to the inverter automatically detects if the power goes out and flips the transfer switch so that it cuts off the circuits of your house
exactly
from
what
the grid.
On the,
so it takes you off the grid.
Walls. Yeah.
And then it draws power from the truck. And at full, like if everything in your house is running, it should be able to run most houses for at least 3 days.
Wow.
And if you start turning stuff off, it can actually go, if you start, turning off unnecessary stuff,
right,
you could power your house for up to 10 days.
The number one thing we need to run is the well. And that, unfortunately, because it takes a lot of cranking power because it's a pump.
Yeah.
But
so the thing with this PG&E program that is slightly different, that the Ford system is completely controlled locally at your house. What they're also incorporating with PG&E is what they call demand response, so that they can proactively, if they're seeing really high demand for power, instead of doing these rolling blackouts that they've been doing for the last several years, and turning off power to people's homes, within a whole area for some number of hours or days, they are instead, for anybody that's enrolled in the demand response program, they already do this for things like air conditioning. They can turn off your air conditioning remotely to reduce power consumption.
Oh, that's interesting.
Now with EVs, they can control the smart inverter remotely as well, so that if they need to reduce the load on the grid.
I don't want PG&E involved with my power in any way, shape, or form. These guys are crooks. But
that's a whole other conversation.
The power company may not be PG&E, and you're there.
Yeah, any utility could do this.
Right.
And so they can.
One of the reasons we have solar and power walls is so we don't have PG&E involved. So, are all electric vehicles eventually going to be able to do this?
Eventually they should all be able to do this.
So it sounds like I should get the next one. I should get an inverter. And in conjunction with my power walls, obviously.
Yeah, because then you can use the power that's in your batteries of your vehicles, because they're going to be considerably larger than your power wall. There's considerably higher capacity.
I didn't realize that. Yeah, you're right, though. They're not very... I think I have the power wall, too, so it's a little more power, but still.
Yeah, so it's like 13, I think.
Yeah.
But the Lightning, for example, has 131 kilowatt hours.
Yeah, huge.
Huge. You know, it can power your house.
Even
for
my
several
Ford
days.
has 88, so yeah, that's a big difference. Yeah.
Yep.
Sam, have a great week. I love you,
too,
man.
and
It's
I'll
great to
talk
see you, and we'll talk next week.
All right.
Take care.
Bye.
I got a cup of coffee. Well, hey. How are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Yes, it's time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, all that jazz. Automotive technology. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number if you want to talk high tech with me. 8888 Ask Leo. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you can still call. You just have to use Skype out or something like that. Some sort of technical wizardry to reach the phone lines. 888-827-5536. Website free and no charge, open to all. TechGuyLabs.com. We put links there of all the stuff we talk about. We put the links in. And actually, I should get Sam to write up the chicken tax story. Probably can go to Wikipedia and read about it. He explained it off the air to me. It had something to do with a tariff. And this is maybe part of the problem with tariffs, that LBJ, 1964, instituted in response to a European tax on American chickens. And here we are. What is that? 60 years later? We still got 55 years later, still got a chicken tax. And it makes, the car manufacturers have to jump through all sorts of hoops to make their light trucks. Well, I guess in a way it's a good thing. It encourages them to manufacture them in the U.S. Yeah, I'll put a link in the show notes to the definition of the chicken tax. So you can read all about it. It all comes down to pecorino cheese. 8888 Ask Leo. Let's go back to the phones. Lamarty in Bellflower, California is next. Hi, Lamarty.
Hey. Okay, there you go.
There we go.
I had to take you off speakerphone. I'm hoping that you can help me, or hoping that you know somebody in my area that can help me here. I kind of caught up in this whole 3G debacle.
Oh, yeah, they're cutting it off.
Yeah. And what's worse is I was one of the casualties that got swallowed up by T-Mobile. I'm an old Sprint customer, and T-Mobile's given me some of the worst customer service I've ever had.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you got transferred over when they bought it. And, of course, they're going to shut down those Sprint towers and their own towers end of the month.
Yeah.
So you need a new phone that...
Well, the problem isn't the new phone. I've got a phone. The problem is getting my data transferred over. Let me give you a little history of where I'm at. I used to be a Nextel customer. Then Sprint swallowed them up.
Yeah.
And so when Sprint swallowed them up, I went in. I had to go get a new phone.
You've been through this before.
When I got a new phone, they took my old phone and plugged it in with a physical.
Yeah, copied it over. Yeah,
and transferred over all my contacts and such like that. And now I've got to take that phone and transfer all my contacts and data into a new phone. But the problem is, and this is where the poor customer service comes in, I get mocked whenever I go into a T-Mobile store and say, "Oh, you should have got a smartphone a long time ago. You should have."
No, don't mock people because they have old phones. Do not mock them.
Yeah, well, the worst part is I want to stick with a feature flip phone, and I've got.
Yeah, they are. They're snickering behind their hand. I hope they put their hand over their mouth.
They're not snickering behind anything. They're doing it straight to my face.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah, so you need a feature phone that will work on LTE, basically.
Well, what I need is a patch cord or some way.
Oh, no. So, okay. So let me kind of talk about that a little bit. I've done it. That used to be you'd go to, in fact, my suggestion is go to an independent store, not a company-owned store. Don't go to a T-Mobile store, but a third party like Parrot or whatever that sells all of them. Because those guys are old-timers for the most part, and they'll have that machine. T-Mobile stopped doing it because...
Said?
Pardon me?
Did you say Parrot?
Yeah, you remember Parrot Cellular?
No.
Well, it depends on. It might be a local place. I don't know what they have in Bellflower, but there are places. You'll see them. They have in the store window T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon. They'll have all the companies and all the different phones. They're independent third-party cell phone stores.
Okay.
And those guys, in my experience, I have a good friend who runs one in our little town here in Petaluma up north. Those guys, yeah, you might want to. Those guys are old school geeks. Frankly, their days are numbered, right? Because the company stores are taken over, but they have that machine still. I promise you.
Okay.
Because I've gone in there and done that. The reason nobody has it anymore is with a smartphone, and your feature phone may even do this. You log into Google on an Android device or Apple on an iPhone device, and they sync everything. So when I get a new Android phone or a new iPhone, I just log into my account and all my contacts come back, all my calendars come back. It'll even remember what apps I have. It'll even remember, if I ask it to, all my passwords. So it really simplifies, and that's what they want. They want to make it easy for you to spend money with them, right? So it simplifies the move. That's why they're snickering, mostly because it would be very trivial. And it is for most people these days if you had a smartphone. Doesn't mean you can't do it with your phone. Which kind of phone do you have right now?
Oh, right now it's how you pronounce it, Kyocera?
Kyocera, yeah. Those are good phones. Yeah.
It's a Duramax.
Duramax, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to look it up here and see. Yeah, that's the old Sprint phone. It even had push to talk, didn't it? Look at that.
Right. Yes.
Did you still use the push to talk after you went to Sprint?
You know, sadly, when I changed companies, no, I didn't. I mean, about
that's too
10 years, 5, 6 years ago, my company used it, and that's.
Oh yeah, it was widely used in construction, anywhere where you had employees that need to be in touch. And I remember, you'd know because it went really loud.
Yeah. Oh, it was a great feature.
Oh yeah, and people were going, Lamarty, are you there? I got a big load coming in at 403, and I need you to be down here. And you, yeah, it was
it was great, especially when driving.
Sure. Apple. It's funny. Apple, realizing there was a market for this, tried to do it on the Apple Watch. They had a walkie-talkie feature. I imagine they still do. It did not catch on. Here's some good news. Kyocera does make a successor to that is LTE compatible that you'd be able to use.
Yeah, but I don't think T-Mobile has it.
Yeah. So here's I'm going to give you some ammo.
Okay.
You could try the third-party store, buy it from them. There probably is an unlocked version of this. It'll work, but if not, you have to have the new phone, and they'll move it over for you. Maybe they'll charge you $50 or whatever to do it because they'd have to make some money. The other option is to say to T-Mobile, "Oh, fine. I see Verizon has this phone. I think I'll be moving my business over there." Remember, they're getting a nice, hefty monthly fee from you.
Right.
All you have to do is say, "I'm willing to move," and I bet you they'll jump through hoops to keep you.
I've threatened that, and they
say, "Please move. We don't want to support this phone anymore. Get out of here. Get out of here with your Kyocera." Well, Verizon does sell this phone, the Durex XV. It looks very similar. You'll like it. This is the phone you have, and I guarantee you, if they're moving people over, they have a way of moving your data over with it.
Okay.
So it may be that it's time to say goodbye to T-Mobile. Say, "Look, I'm a Sprint customer, and you've not been treating me with the dignity I deserve. Mocking my flip phone.
Now, the Durex XV, who is that with?
That's Verizon sells that.
Right. Oh, Verizon. Okay.
Yeah. There may be others that sell. The nice thing is it's LTE. So that means it works with all the current networks. It's not an old 3G phone. And you're not alone. A lot of people, even with smartphones, there's Samsung phones that will not make this transition. They've got to get. In fact, I got a letter from AT&T saying, that phone you're using, you got to change. I hadn't used the phone in years, but they say you got to change. They still think I'm using some old phone. So yeah, all of this by the end of the year, every one of these cell phone companies is turning off those 3G towers.
Yeah, in fact, I've got to go through this again in was it June? I think it is. In fact, maybe you can give me advice on this. I've got a what is it? A Metro PCS phone.
Yeah, I think they're running on AT&T. I can't remember who Metro. Maybe it's T-Mobile.
They run on T-Mobile.
Yeah,
and that's the rub. The whole reason I got the Metro PCS phone was it was on a different system than my Sprint phone. Right. And in my part-time gig as a chauffeur, I want to make sure that I have
backup.
I have phone contacts. And so now that it's not a Metro PCS and T-Mobile are the same, I need to find another phone or another cheap carrier. So Metro was purchased by T-Mobile, so they're not an MVNO anymore. But there are a lot of companies that sit on T-Mobile or Straight Talk is an example. You can get that at Walmart that sits on either AT&T or T-Mobile or Verizon, depending on which one you pick. So that's another way to go. I think I like your phone. I want you to keep that phone or something like it anyway. So that Kyocera has been replaced by a more modern phone that will still work on various networks. Maybe, go in the T-Mobile store saying, I want this, Dura VX. I want it. XV, rather. Dura XV. I want it. Get it. Or maybe you can get it unlocked, or maybe call them, because if you call them, you get a retention expert when you say, you're forcing me to move off the network. Can you help me here? And maybe they can, because you're spending a lot of money with them. You got Metro PCS and T-Mobile. Well, yeah, like I said, I've been with them since Nextel, so I just
So there are a variety of different MVNOs. A lot of them use T-Mobile because T-Mobile makes the best deal for these mobile virtual network operators. But there's Republic and our sponsor Mint Mobile, and there's quite a few of these. If you want to get off of T-Mobile, then I think moving to Verizon might be a smart move. It's a little more expensive in my opinion, but Verizon is the quality network.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's interesting.
And you might. I mean, it's okay. I'm not snickering. Just want to make that clear. But
that's okay.
It might be time to look at a smartphone. I mean, they're pretty good these days. They do a lot. And
okay, I have a confession to make. I have what I call a tablet. It's actually a Note. What is it? A Note 8.
Oh yeah, that's a nice phone. Yeah.
I use it as a tablet though. I think I maybe made 3 phone calls on it since I got it brand new. To me, just between you and me, since nobody else is listening. Yeah. One of the reasons I love the feature flip phone is it has physical buttons.
Yes.
And if you know how to use a 10 key by touch
as you're driving, you need that. I completely understand.
Exactly.
That's why I will never snicker. Everybody gets what they want. You should have what you want. And by the way, I know a lot of drivers use flip phones for that very reason. It's very common. Yeah. Walt, who gives us a ride up here once in a while, he's on a flip phone. I know it. Yeah, I know it. Hey, it's a pleasure talking to you, Lamarty.
Thank you, Leo.
You got some leverage. You can go to T-Mobile. Everybody should find this independent guy in every town has one. They're kind of a little more run down. They're in the strip malls or whatever. They sell them all. These guys are the true hackers of the cell phone. They know everything, and they can solve it, and they have that machine. Why would they throw it out? They plug it into the old Kyocera, sucks up all the information, plug it into the new Kyocera, you got it all over there. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number, 888-827-5536. This is a no snicker zone, a free, snicker-free zone here. I will never mock you for using older technology. I will honor you. You're frugal. Oh, I got this thing. John, I need the shortest mic cable you can find. Yeah, here, I'll show you what I got. This is so exciting. This is from Zoom. Yeah, 6 inches would be fine because it's got, it uses XLR. And I was thinking I'll use the SM58 with this thing. Maybe a little long. Yeah, 6 inches would be like that. It plugs right in. Oh, you can? Oh, I didn't even think of that. I don't even need a cable. I could just make this a standing mic. And I put in a 256 gig card, which gives me 100 hours of record time. But the cool thing about this is it's 32-bit, which is something new to me. 32-bit means you've got so much headroom, so much resolution, you can't clip it. See how light it is? And see, you could put it. I've actually seen people wear them on their wrist. You put a a hook and loop through here, and you can put it. You can wear it on your wrist. Or the idea is you can put it on a mic boom or that kind of thing. It's a field recorder, but I'm trying to figure out how I can do podcasting from anywhere. Well, it is resolution, right? Isn't it? Because sample rate, 48 kilohertz. That's the sample rate, right? But the bit, each sample is 32 bits instead of 16 or 24. CD quality would be 16, right? Unless I'm completely misunderstanding. Am I misunderstanding it? 32-bit float files. Thank you, Retcon. This is from Sound Device. Traditional 16-bit files have 65,535 resolution. Oh, yeah, that's perfect. No, But I wouldn't really want to do that because I wouldn't want to break it off eventually, knowing me. Look at that. That's perfect. Oh, man. I'm going to play with that in a bit. Thank you. Can I keep this? The Tech Guy Show brought to you this week through the auspices, literally brought to you through the auspices of our content delivery network, CashFly. Love the CashFly. How do we know CashFly is amazing? Well, I've been using them for over 10 years. I remember when we first started Twit 15 years ago, I thought, people just download it from the website. No, that doesn't work. HLS or whatever it was in those days, that's too slow. Unreliable. Plus, the bandwidth costs on the website were huge. So then we said, well, maybe we could do BitTorrent. Remember I was begging people to be BitTorrent seeds for the podcast in the early days? That's when Matt Levine at CashFly said, he called me up and said, Leo, no, let's help. You need a CDN. I needed CashFly. We've been with them ever since. We love CashFly. Now, they've added features all along. From the very beginning, we used CashFly's local storage to avoid cache misses and origin expenses, transferring files from our servers to their servers. Now that's actually a business for them. That's something they offer, storage optimization system, CashFly's SOS, which takes the load off your origin servers, reduces your S3 bills or whatever, reduces your bandwidth, and increases your cache hit ratio to 100%. That really changes, the financial structure of the whole thing. Now they have ultra-low latency video. See, they're always innovating. This is incredible. You can go live in hours, not days, with a sub-1 second latency. What? Yes. Ditch your unreliable WebRTC solution for their WebSocket live video workflow. Scalable to more than 1 million simultaneous users. 50 CDN pops all over the world means your content will be closer to your customers, which is fantastic. That's one of the benefits of a CDN. The other benefit is reliability. In the last year, CashFly availability has been 100%. 100%. They're 30% faster than other major CDNs with a 98% cache hit ratio. I can just go on. And if you get CashFly's elite managed packages, I'm telling you, VIP treatment, 24/7 support, response times in less than an hour. CashFly's just it. Ultra low latency video streaming, more than 1 million concurrent users, lightning fast gaming, zero lag, glitches or outages, mobile content optimization that offers automatic, I love this, and we don't use it, but this, if you've got a website, you would love this, automatic simple image optimization, which means your site loads faster on any device. They've got multiple CDNs for redundancy and failover. They intelligently balance your traffic across multiple providers. That gives you the shortest routes, mitigates against performance glitches, on and on and on. And the best 24/7, 365-day-a-year priority support. They're always there when you need them. We have never had a problem in more than 10 years with CashFly. We've been nothing but happy. You will be too. In fact, take advantage of this. CashFly is giving away a complimentary detailed analysis of your current CDN bill and usage trends. See if you're overpaying 20% or more. See what CashFly can do for you. All I can say is they're the best. You got to try it. Twit.cashfly.com. Thank you, CashFly, for making Twit possible. We literally couldn't do it without him. Twit.cashfly.com. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo, the phone number. We go back to the calls. John on the line from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Hello, John.
Yes. Hi, Leo. How are you today?
I am well. How are you?
I'm good, other than the allergies.
I've got the allergies, too. They're just, there's all this pollen in the air.
Yeah. No, I don't have them here because we're still...
You're still frozen, the frozen tundra.
Well, yeah, sort of. Anyways, my wife and I each have the Samsung Galaxy S7s.
Yes.
And I think it's time. I think you had mentioned at one point that they weren't being updated effective last October.
Sad to say. Yeah.
And that makes me a little nervous. Now, I'm not really prepared to go up to I think it's a 22, because...
That's the new one. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know somebody had phoned in 2 or 3 weeks ago and asked the same question. What is it? And I couldn't find it, unfortunately. But what is a good alternative? I don't need all the real fancy camera and stuff, but a real dependable phone that'll be updated often. And what would be best?
So, is it price that's keeping you from going to the 22?
Yeah, we're hard now.
No, you don't, and you don't need all the whizzy features. I mean, when you get an S22 Ultra, you're paying through the nose, $1,400. I know because I just bought one.
Right.
Because you want the latest cameras and the most RAM and the most storage, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And most people don't. I don't need that. No one needs that.
We don't either.
No.
So what's a good alternative?
I love Moto, M-O-T-O, Motorola. They make some really excellent phones in the $200 to $300 range. If you're willing to spend a little bit more, my favorite would be the Google phone, but not the latest Google, the Pixel 6, but the Pixel 5a.
5a. Now, it would be continued to be updated for...
That's why you get a Google phone. They have the most... it's up to date now. When you buy the 5A, 5G, you're getting the latest Android on it. You're getting security updates, and you get them fastest from Google, faster than Samsung. In fact, the S22 Ultra is still on the January security update. What month is it? March. Oh.
That's not good.
That's not good. You want to have those monthly updates are the most important.
Now, what's the difference, though, between A and G? You said 5A.
So when Google releases a flagship phone, in this case, the current flagship's a Pixel 6, halfway through the year, coming in June, they'll do this, they release the 6A, which is essentially, it's a very, very similar, but it's maybe they give a few specs up and they sell it for less. So the Pixel 5A is the most recent of that. It has 5G, which you may or may not want. I think 5G, actually, I'm kind of coming around on 5G. I'll explain why in a second. But that's $450. Not cheap.
No.
Motorola is going to be less.
Yeah.
But I think with getting it from Google is guaranteeing the most security updates, the longest lifetime.
Okay, that's important. I mean, I don't know how old the 7 is, but it's
it's probably
5 or 6 years maybe.
Yeah, it's probably Android 10 and most. The version of Android is not as important. That's more about features than the security updates.
I understand.
You go in your settings on your phone and see when the last security update was. If it's more than a few months ago, yeah, you're at risk. And then the 7, they're not even going to send any more out because Samsung doesn't want to do it. Your phone company doesn't want to do it. No. Google makes them available, but that doesn't mean they're going to be updated. So yeah, I would look at if that's what really matters. It is half as much as a flagship, but it is very, very good. They're really great phones.
Sounds good for us. As long as we're with TELUS here in Canada, as long as they
they'll carry it, yeah.
But now the other thing I wanted to mention to you is about cyber warfare. This is a deep worry for me, and part of the reason is I read a book. I don't know if you're familiar with the book by Ted Koppel.
No, I didn't know he'd written a book.
Oh, yeah. It was published in 2016.
Former Nightline host, yeah.
Yeah, I would suggest you have a look at this. I would almost suggest having him as a guest. But anyways, if he was prepared to do it.
I really like him, yeah.
Yeah, but the book's called Lights Out, A Cyber Attack, A Nation Unprepared, Surviving the Aftermath.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
Came out in 2017, so whatever he says in 2017 is probably 10 times worse in 2022.
Well, hopefully things are more hardened. I mean,
it's an interest. So we really thought with the war in Ukraine that there would be a simmering cyber war going on alongside.
Right.
And there have been some surprises here. And I'm not sure why. Maybe because Russia is reluctant to step it up at that level because they're vulnerable too. They certainly have the capabilities, but so do we. I should point out, the NSA has been very aggressive in hiring hackers, developing tools. We know this thanks to Edward Snowden's revelations and others, that the NSA is certainly not toothless in this regard. Right. So maybe Putin's saying, I don't want to start anything because we're pretty vulnerable.
You want to open that can of worms, yeah.
The other interesting thing, oh gosh, we went right through the break. Well, I'm still talking to you, so it's not a problem. I wish I were talking on the air because I think this is. I'll bring it up. But the other thing that's happened that's surprising. Putin always used Ukraine as a testing ground for cyber attacks. You might remember a couple of years ago, he brought down the grid, the entire electrical grid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But in fact, when the war began, when the invasion began, I shouldn't even call it a war, when the invasion began, they shut down briefly the banking system. It came back up, though, within a couple of hours, and they have yet to shut down the grid. They're instead trying to bomb the nuclear plants. I think Ukraine took it seriously. And they hardened their defenses, and Russia has been stymied. Because I think they would use it in Ukraine.
Right.
No doubt about it.
I have no doubt either.
So that's encouraging to me that it's possible to defend. The U.S., if we have an agency in the U.S. called CISA, C-I-S-A, and their entire mission is to prepare and protect. And that's something, by the way, that we didn't have in 2017. Their entire mission it's the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, infrastructure. It's under DHS. They were founded in 2018, maybe because of Ted Koppel. There was a lot of talk about cyber warfare.
Yeah.
And their entire job has been to go around and secure power grids. They have found malware in these power grids because, in the U.S., many electric companies are run as independent private industry. And so
that's part of the problem.
Yeah, there's very much varying capabilities to defend. But I think that we are better protected than we used to be.
Oh, well, that's good. I sure hope so. If we very seldom have power failures, our power. But if the power was ever to go off, right now, I would
it's the end of the world.
Nervous until it came back.
Yeah, there's 4 areas that we are very vulnerable. Somebody asked me this a couple of weeks ago, and I've been kind of thinking about it. One is the grid. Our financial system is completely computerized. Bring that down. Whew. Our food system is completely computerized. Bring that down. Whew. I can't remember what the fourth one was, but we are absolutely dependent now on all of this technology.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good question. I appreciate it, and I will look at this book. I'll get it. Thank you, John.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks, Leo.
Have a good one. Dancing in the moonlight or whistling past the graveyard, one or the other. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. A great conversation about cyber warfare, and unfortunately got a little bit cut off. So let me kind of update that. Our last caller was, he's calling from Canada, but, we're all in this together in the West. Real fear from Russia, China, North Korea. They all have their hackers, their hacking group. The big hacking group in Russia is called Fancy Bear by some, which is a very fanciful name for something that is not quite so fanciful. They are, of course, they're associated with, probably run by the Russian military intelligence, GRU, and they have been in the past very active. I think if you talk to intelligence agencies, they'll say, a lot of the ransomware we've been experiencing is probably at least countenanced, if not funded and supported by the Russian government. 75% of all the ransomware activity comes out of Russia, or Russian ransomware groups. And at the very least, Putin's turning a blind eye towards them. More likely, he's supporting them because what do they attack? They attack the West. It's very destabilizing. So cyber warfare is a real concern, but there's some cause, I think, for optimism. One, it hasn't happened. I think there was a real fear that once Russia invaded Ukraine, they'd let loose the hounds of hacking, and we'd see cyber warfare everywhere. In fact, right before the invasion, he shut down the banking system in the Ukraine. A couple of years ago, not the Ukraine, in Ukraine. A couple of years ago in Ukraine, the electric grid was brought down for a few hours. In both cases, Russian hackers. And the thinking was Russia uses Ukraine as a test bed for its cyber warfare capabilities. But here they are in a hot war, in an invasion, and they haven't used them. And so there's a couple of thoughts, possibilities, I guess. One is that Ukraine, having been warned, hardened its defenses and is in fact much less vulnerable than they used to be. That would be really good news if that's possible. That would be very good news. We know, though, with all the 0 days, all the nation-state attacks, we know that all these countries are, including us, by the way, we're doing it too, are looking very hard at ways to wage a cyber war. In fact, the news report said that President Biden had been presented with options for cyber war, but elected not to use them. The White House denies that, but I think it's likely. So maybe Ukraine was able to harden itself. Maybe we've been able to. In 2018, we founded something called CISA. And this has been, I think, a real improvement in our posture. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. They've spent a lot of money hardening our weak points, like our grid, electrical grid. And I presume the NSA and others are working on offensive technologies. And it may also be that Putin is reasonably concerned that if he were to launch a cyber war, we would retaliate, and it would be, as it was in the nuclear era, mutually assured destruction, and he doesn't want to bring that down. So maybe it's a combination of kind of trepidation on Putin's part and a better security posture on our part, on the part of the West. It's certainly the case that ransomware has not abated. Cyber scams have not abated. If you look at your email, your spam filters, you probably see every day, I know I do, emails trying to take it, trying to hack me in one way or the other, con me in one way or the other. And any company is getting those regularly for phishing attacks. Mostly, I think that's for financial gain, but there's a blurred line between fancy bears, nation-state attacks for geopolitical results and the various malware groups in Russia trying to do it for money. I think there's a mutual they're well aligned. There's a mutual benefit. So should we worry about cyber warfare? Yeah, we should certainly be prudent. And if you run infrastructure, if you run the banking system, if you run the food system, you should make darn sure that you're hardened. The Colonial Pipeline attack, remember this? Last year, brought down an oil pipeline and caused gas panics in the Southeast. You remember people lining up and filling up, gas cans and various other things with gasoline because of the pipeline attack. That was last summer. That was a call to action because that's infrastructure, right? It's probable, we don't know, but it's probable that hack came from a nation state, probably Russia. And it was ransomware, right? They wanted money. Whether it was the Russian government or just Russian-located hackers, again, that line is blurred. But I think it was also in two ways. It was a call to action. In one, it was a call from CISA and others to say, look, infrastructure attacks are off limits. You do that, you're in trouble. And then also to harden those systems. This hack was ridiculous. They got into Colonial Pipeline because they got a password from a leak, a breach. A Colonial employee used the same password on various accounts. And then the hackers got it, and they tried, and look, we're in. We're in. It was a Russian cybercrime group called DarkSide, probably for money, $4.4 million ransom. And it's thought that maybe Putin said, knock it off to these guys, because they kind of disappeared. Knock it off because I don't want to bring, down the ire of the West on our head. We're vulnerable. It certainly woke us up. It was a wake-up call for the U.S., and perhaps it was maybe something to keep the Russians on control. I don't know. They don't seem like they're in much control, do they? So should we worry about it? Yeah. Should we be prudent? Yeah. Should we work hard to harden our defenses? Absolutely. But there seems to be some positive news that it hasn't happened. And so it's reasonable to say, why? Why hasn't it happened? At least in Ukraine, he could apparently lost his ability to disrupt the power grid because they had to start attacking nuclear plants, trying to bring the power grid down that way. That's interesting. 8888 ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. Bill's on the line from Lomita, California. Hello, Bill.
Hello, Leo. How's everything in Petaluma?
Well, the sun is out, the birds are singing, and the trees are blooming, and my allergies are going crazy. That's how it is. What's up in your world?
Capital of the world, right?
Pardon me?
That's the arm wrestling capital of the world?
It used to be, yeah. This is where the World Championship for arm wrestling was held for many, many years.
Yeah. Did you partake?
I did not. I don't like losing arm wrestling, especially to my wife. That is just, so I've stopped. I've retired. Yeah. She beats me every time.
I'm calling for Lamarty.
Yes.
I, too, was a Sprint Sanyo Crysera customer.
What did you get to replace it?
Mine was a 2010 3G, and I got the same notice from Sprint.
Yep.
You got to replace it.
Yep.
And I didn't want to buy a smart flap phone. I wanted to buy a flip phone.
Yeah.
So I went on the T-Mobile site, and also I switched from Sprint to T-Mobile.
Okay.
Went on the T-Mobile site, found a very nice flip phone. It's called the Cat, C-A-T, short for Caterpillar Equipment.
So it's nice yellow. Okay.
It's yellow. It's a heavy-duty phone, and the buttons are large push buttons, bigger than the...
Perfect. They're made mighty. That's their slogan. Bill, I appreciate it. So does Lamarty. Get a Cat phone. And by the way, Butter and Eggs Day still going on in Petaluma. Come up for that. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Made mighty. Rugged is in our blood. Manufactured to be tough. Are you in construction, Bill, or?
Yeah, I'm a worker.
So you don't want a phone that's going to fall off your belt and break.
I do appliance repair, kitchen, laundry.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I wish I'd known you.
I needed a heavy-duty phone that I wasn't worried about dropping.
Nice. Made by Caterpillar. That's hysterical. Oh, it does 5G? Which one do you have? Do you know?
The yellow one.
The yellow one.
I just use it for phoning.
They have a B40, which is 4G.
All the dimes and whistles.
Yeah. Nice. That's interesting. I wonder who... I feel like it's probably unlikely that Caterpillar makes these. They probably put their name on it. Somebody else...
I'd be surprised if they had a manufacturing shop.
Yeah. But they have standards, and they want to make sure that if they're going to put their name on it, it's going to be a good product. And you're how long have you had it?
6 months.
Nice, and it's been reliable and.
Yeah.
Oh, they're mil spec. Wow, IP68 and mil spec. Wow, tough, rugged. I like the yellow one. All right. Hey, I appreciate it, Bill. Thank you for the tip. I'm sure Lamarty's still listening.
All right.
Have a good one. All right. Take care. Yeah, they have quite a variety, actually. They even have smartphones. Look at that. The Cat B40 and the Cat B26 look like and they're more like the candy bar style than the flip style. I'm charming. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Ooh. 8888, ask Leo. The phone number, website, techguylabs.com. I think, do we have Rod Pyle? I know we don't have, we didn't have Chris Marquardt this week because Chris Marquardt was detained. I don't know. He was busy. He was doing something else. Maybe he forgot to get up because of daylight saving time. I don't know. But Rod Pyle, Spaceman, will join us in about 45 minutes. Jim is on the line from Glendale, California. Hello, Jim.
Hi,
hey.
Jim. KI6GU here.
Nice to see you. W6TWT.
Well, here's the deal. I'm the guy that likes Android, and I've been resurrecting my Note 4.
You're the guy who wait a minute. Doesn't just like Android, hates Apple.
Yes, and the more time that goes on, the more that seems to be more the case. I'm loving this old Samsung phone now that I've brought some life back to it.
Which one did you get? I forgot.
Well, you remember I have a S21 is what I have that I currently use, and this old Note 4.
Note 4, that's it. Yeah.
So a lot of things have changed. I went, you remember I talked to you before about rooting it. I went to the XDA developers website, and it's been 6 years since I've done this, and of course some things have changed. I had a little trouble navigating the site, but now I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, they changed it. I don't know why people change things. Just leave it. But anyway, they did, yeah.
I thought, as I recall, there was
very usable.
You could go to,
yeah,
and you just looked up your phone, and then it showed you everything was available. But anyway, so I tried some different things. Back when I did this last, we used Odin. Now I guess we're using TWRP. So I got that working, got TWRP. I tried to install one of the ROMs you recommended and didn't have any luck with that. I think it's because I was using the wrong combination, maybe of TWRP and that ROM. I'm willing to try that again. But what I've ended up getting loaded is Apocalypse X M-Tron Pro version 8.1.
Okay.
And that's working. Everything's working great. I got my gaps on there. That was a project to get that to work. But everything's working now. This was just to learn how to do this again. I'm willing to wipe the phone and do all this over.
Well, that's the fun part of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is once you put TWRP on there, which allows you to load any other firmware. You know, I used to change my firmware daily, depending on my mood.
Well, I don't know if I'm that enthusiastic. I'm enthusiastic enough to try some different stuff.
Let me explain to people going, what are they? I don't understand what they're talking. So if you have an Android phone, it's really just a Linux computer. That's what Android's based on. And unless the manufacturer has taken steps to prevent you from doing this, and some do, including Samsung, you can easily modify that phone and put a different flavor of the operating system on there. We call them ROMs because they're firmware. But you need a tool to put on there to begin with, a custom recovery tool. And there are a variety, but the most widely used now is from Team Win. It's TWRP at twrp.me. But again, you would definitely want to go to XDA developers and get some advice before you do this. You have to be fairly, it's a little tricky. And you don't want to brick your device. You don't want to turn it into unusable. But TWRP is a really good custom recovery tool, probably the best one. And then at that point, you can put on a variety of different things. I had recommended Cyanogen, the Cyanogen successor, which is Lineage OS. You weren't able to get that working, though, huh?
I tried to do that, but I think maybe I had the wrong version of TWRP.
Could be. It's complicated, right? It's very complicated. But there are other. I'm not familiar with this Apocalypse X. I love the name.
I was going to ask you, it's kind of cool looking. It's older. It's version 6.1 of Marshmallow. And they have something out that I was thinking about trying called Apocalypse XM Premium version 1.0, but I'm not sure whether I want to do that or not. I don't know the differences.
I don't either. And that's definitely one for the XDA folks. What you'll find with this stuff is widely varying quality. because some of it's just written by some guy in his basement, and he's kind of got a crazy idea and he wants to do this, and some of them are written by teams. That's why generally Lineage is a good choice, because that's a established team, has been doing it for a long time. They're quite talented, and so they can be kind of quirky. To be honest, I mean, I think the Apocalypse XM ROM is named after the X-Men. That's where the XM comes from. So it gives you some idea of what you're talking about here. It's so. Well,
it just happened to be the first one that I got to work.
Yeah, I would go and go to the forums, look at what else people are using. This I think is from a single guy. This Apocalypse XM, so if he's a really, the nice thing is it does work on the Note 4. I mean, it's designed the Note 4. Marshmallow is really old.
Yeah,
but that's one of the benefits of these ROMs. If they can keep them more up to date, even with an older version of Android. Android's open source, so it's an easy thing for them to modify. You could put the Google apps on it, the GApps as they call them, which is nice, because an Android phone without Google is kind of like a day without sunshine.
Right.
I don't have anything against it. I don't know if I would want to pay any money for it.
Right.
Unless you've used it for a while and you say, "Hey, it's working pretty well."
Well, what I want to do is, again, I'm going to try this. The one you recommended, which I got right here in front of me, is the Lineage.
If you can get Lineage working, I think that the other one that's kind of more security focused is called Catalyst, and that one is designed to be privacy and security forward. So
I just want to be able to use this phone mostly just as a backup phone. I'm probably going to surf the internet. I wanted to ask you, since we know it's not going to be as secure as a currently supported factory ROM, what things should I avoid doing on this phone to keep from exposing myself?
Great question. The main risk.
I just use it to make phone calls. Obviously, that's
right.
But what else can I?
The main risk, absolutely, on Android is downloading apps. And even apps in the Google Play Store sometimes have malware in them. Google's pretty aggressive about scanning them, and if you're going to download an app, I would suggest you get it from a known entity, a Microsoft, a Google, and I'd be very careful about them. I would not download Russian wallpaper apps, for instance. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So that's where you want to be kind of careful. That's the biggest risk. I don't think going to websites is going to be a huge risk. That is potential. So the ways, look, in order to hack any device, computer, phone, laptop, whatever, they've got to get software running on your computer. You have to, they have to get by your defenses, and you have to agree to install and run some software for them. That's typically done in a variety of ways. App is on a mobile. That's the number one way, is by an app. They can send you a link in a message or an email. If you click it and it goes to a website, potentially that's risky. And certainly any downloadable attachments, those are right out.
That's usual stuff. But I mean, surfing the web or using Facebook,
I think you're fine.
You're not doing business.
No, just careful about clicking links, downloading software. The way a website can attack you is if there is a known vulnerability on your device, and the website has an exploit sitting on it. It can be, by the way, a reliable mainstream website that got hacked. One of the things hackers do when they hack websites is they put malware packages on there, little tools that look and see, what is he running? What is he running? Oh, he's running Android Marshmallow. We've got something for that. And then they set off an attack that, in effect, without your permission, without your knowledge, a zero-click attack will download, same thing though, download software and run it on your phone. It just does it without your intervention. So that's the other risk. That's a very low risk. That's not a huge risk. The biggest one is that you download and install something that's no good.
I'm pretty cautious about that already.
I think you're fine. So, really, the whole point of doing what you're doing with your Note 4, pretty old phone, is for fun. It's a hobbyist thing.
Absolutely.
Right?
It's a lot of fun. Actually, I'm enjoying it now that I'm kind of figuring out what I'm doing again. And I managed not to break it in the process.
Yeah.
Learning how to use twerp, the things that we didn't have before.
Yeah. Not Catalyst, by the way. It's Calyx. I misspoke. Calyx. Take a look at that. Or Graphene. Those are both privacy focused. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Thank you. Well, hey. How are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada, outside that area. Still call, but use Skype or something like that. 8888 Ask Leo. Back to the phones we go. Rod Pyle's coming up, by the way. Our spaceman in just a little bit. But let's first say hello to Mike in Gulf Shores, Alabama. Hello, Mike.
Hey, Leo. How are you doing?
I am wonderful. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm sitting out here by the Gulf of Mexico enjoying this warm weather.
Oh, nice. Do you fish?
No, I don't fish.
Is there good fishing?
I may have to.
Just to keep body and soul alive.
We have a lot of lakes around here and stuff that you can fish at. But
yeah. What do you just like to sit in the dock of the bay and watch the tide roll away, that kind of thing?
You got it.
Nice.
And all the women in the bikinis.
Oh, don't even get me started. So so it's like a beach.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we're right on the beach.
Nice. And the weather's good right now?
It's really nice. It's about 65 degrees
perfect.
out. And
I'm getting it around August. It gets a little hot and muggy there, but
it does.
Yeah.
So
what can I do for you, Mike?
Okay, I have an Apple MacBook. It's a 2016.
Okay.
And for the last 4 years, I have used Download 4K to download videos from YouTube.
Yeah.
And they come in fine. I can put them in the Apple video deal, and do whatever I want to with them.
The iMovie.
No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, the iMovie.
Okay.
The last month or so, the videos are now downloading through Televisor.
Huh. I don't know what that is.
I have no idea.
So you're downloading from YouTube mostly, or where are you downloading files from?
Yeah, from YouTube.
Okay. This 4K downloader sounds like maybe somebody else is now owning it, or they're downloading it locally onto their server, and then it's coming from their server to you. There might be another product you might like better than this, which is called Downy. I would take a look at it. It's a YouTube video downloader, same thing.
Downy?
Downy, Downie 4. It's $20, but you can try it for free. You might try that and see if you like it. In fact, I've been thinking I should get it there's a bundle with his program Permute, which allows you to take those 4K videos and to re-encode them for other purposes, to play back on a phone, for instance, or an Apple TV, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I would take a look at Downy. All the folks I know that YouTube downloaders use Downy. I'm not familiar with this Download 4K.
Okay.
It sounds like they're going through a server, is what it sounds like they're doing, and that's
I deleted that Televisor or whatever it was yesterday. And
Did
now
it stop working?
When I download the videos, it comes in to the text edit box.
Yeah, because it's not video; it's just data. It doesn't know what to do with it. So Televisor is another tool that's a video downloader, which makes me wonder what Download 4K is for. Maybe it's a front end to Televisor. I'm not sure. Right. It's getting me nervous now. It's getting a little too complicated for my taste. Take a look at Downy.
Okay, I will.
Yeah.
I got one more. I got one other problem.
Yes.
On this MacBook, I've had it for, I think, 6 years.
Okay.
About 2 years ago, the screen has developed bubbles in it.
Ooh, that's not good. You didn't put a screen protector on it. It just by itself.
Yeah. Just by itself. And I just wondered if Apple had put a real light coating of a plastic on it or something.
Possibly. Bubbles sounds like it did, to be honest with you. I'm not familiar with that. I have that exact laptop, and I've never noticed it. That is not, bubbles are not good. That's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's, when you're using it, you really don't notice it. But, on a black screen or something, you can just, they're prevalent.
This is news to me. I'm going to see if Apple uses a screen protector on its Macs, because that seems weird. So you got this new.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you didn't get it from somebody else.
No, bought it.
Because there are screen protectors you can buy for Macs,
right,
for privacy and so forth. But I don't think Apple puts a screen protector on their displays. It may just be that this would be bad news, that the LCD itself is delaminating. That there are layers on an LCD screen, and that one of the top layers starting to come off. That seems more likely. And that, as long as it doesn't bother you, I would live with it. It'd probably get worse. I'm thinking the humidity in the Gulf there might be impacting it. You probably have noticed that in other situations, that stuff doesn't last as long because of all the heat and the humidity.
It might be time to get a new one.
It is. The new ones are great. Highly recommended. Much faster. They've gotten rid of the Intel chips. I don't know how you feel about the Touch Bar. I never really was fond of it. They got rid of that. I think the new ones are very, very good. Highly recommend them.
Yeah. Okay.
But again, you can live with it until it goes bad. Because you're down there in the Gulf, you got all that heat and humidity. It may well be that it delaminated. We've going back to the days of CD-ROMs. People used to complain, who lived in your area, that the CD-ROMs would rust out. There was so much humidity that the metallic layer on the CD-ROM, the reflective layer, would actually rust out, would oxidize. So I don't think it's a screen protector Apple put on. I don't think they do that. I think it's probably delaminating under that heat and humidity. And as long as you can use it, it doesn't bother you, live with it. I don't think there's a fix for it except replacing that screen. And if you're looking for an excuse to get a new one, this is a very, very good time to get a new Apple laptop. I should mention, we had that Apple event on Tuesday. They did not announce laptops. They announced new Mac computers, the Mac Studio, which is effectively their iMac replacement. The Studio Plus monitor is an iMac. They're just not connected. They're deconstructed iMac. But that tells me that they will, they announced new laptops last fall, that we are probably going to see. They said there's one more Mac to be updated from the Intel ones. That's the Mac Pro. I'm going to guess that will be June at the Worldwide Developers Conference. That's a developer's tool. And I would expect that they will have new Mac laptops using the new M2 chip, either in June, it's hard to tell, or in the fall. That's kind of your choice. So if you're in the market for a Mac laptop, I guess the question is, should I wait 3 months to see what Apple announces in June? Possibly. I think I have the MacBook Pro 14-inch with the M1 Pro. That's an amazing laptop. That's as good a Mac as they've ever made, in my opinion. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number, 888-827-5536, toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Give me a ring. Rod Pyle, Space Guy, coming up in about 15 minutes. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Spaceman. Rod Pyle, Spaceman Extraordinaire.
Better treatment than I get anywhere. How are you?
I don't know. Is that good treatment to call you a spaceman? I am well.
Better than a spaceman.
You're out there and I'm floating over Mars or the moon or whatever it is.
Way better than nothing against Iowa, but it was really cold.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it gets so cold in Des Moines that they have an entire underground and above ground tunnel system, so you can go.
Yes.
Yeah.
It looks very Blade Runner-ish. So
yeah.
The day I left, every year I get there, and the guy who hosts this conference, who's a dear friend, Tony Poshton, says, dude, it was 50 degrees last week, and every time you show up, it goes down to like 24 degrees. The day I was leaving, it was going to be 0 at midnight.
No.
And, there's a lot of people that are used to that, but I'm a thin-skinned Southern Californian, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I'm not wearing shorts and T-shirts in 0 degrees like those guys, but it was fun. And I got to meet some cool people, and I think I sent you a clip for our segment today.
Oh, good. Let me look at the mail.
Because I'm going to go a little off off our normal and do a little fanboy gushing on sci-fi, if that's okay.
Oh, of course.
'Cause I got
Sci-fi and space have a lot in common.
Well, they do, and in this case in particular. So, yeah. And it was the conference was awesome. It was great fun.
Here it is. Oh.
I got to hang with Q.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, Q is very fan friendly. I hear about him a lot. Yeah.
I mean, Jonathan Frakes is probably the fan friendliest guy I've met. LeVar Burton too.
Yeah,
but Delancey is really easygoing and turns out lives about 3 miles away from me. I didn't realize.
Oh, wow.
Nice. It's interesting. He and Robert Picardo, the doctor from Voyager, I guess, live like I think a half a mile from each other.
Nice.
Up in the San Gabriel Valley. But that was a hoot.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're getting ready for Rod Pyle's visit, our spaceman, in just a few minutes. But there's time to take more calls. On the line from Hatfield, Pennsylvania, my friend Jerry. Hello, Jerry.
Hello, Leo. I've got a problem.
Jerry, what's the matter?
Well, remember about a month ago or so, I called you and told you that they're telling me I need a new phone for my 5G?
Yes.
I said, well, I don't believe it. Just try the cell phone. Well, they sent me a new phone, a Nokia G300.
Oh.
For free.
Oh.
So I don't really care for the phone, but.
That's nice of them. I mean, that's kind of it's a budget phone, but those are good phones. Good.
Yeah. Well, so what happened is that I'm all set up there, and I go to text. I go to get a line with my bank, and they send me. They text me a code for two-party authentication. I can never get the text. I can get a text from T-Mobile, Verizon, but apparently they go through AT&T. And I called up their trouble desk at Street Talk and waited online forever. And I hear the chickens in the background.
Well, nowadays, a lot of customer service reps work at home, and obviously you got one that did. Yeah.
So anyhow, she says they went through the procedure, and they said, well, we'll have to send you to up to another degree of troubleshooting.
Yeah.
They
gotta send you the cow guy.
They transfer me. Either they never answer or they hang up on me.
Oh, I hate that. Terrible phone system.
What can I tell them on the first level of troubleshooting to do to get my team?
So you're getting text messages from everybody except AT&T?
Apparently so.
Which is weird because you're running on AT&T, right? Straight Talk is your Straight Talk using AT&T? They use a variety of carriers.
Apparently, all three of them. When I turn my phone on, it says track phone when I turn my phone on, but I'm still going through Straight Talk. Yeah.
So so Straight Talk is an NVMO.
Right.
I talk about these guys all the time. Mobile Virtual Network Operators, MVNO. And they basically license by bandwidth from the phone companies. Now, if you see track phone on yours, that means it's Verizon. So, and so the way text messaging works, every company has their own internal system, and then they have gateways that go to the external system. You're saying you can get some text messages, but not all?
I get them from T-Mobile, Verizon, but apparently AT&T doesn't come through.
Yeah, and so you're not on AT&T. You're on Verizon. If you see track phone, if it's coming up, that's what you're on.
Here's what happened.
Yeah.
I told them I don't care for their phone. I want to buy another phone, and they said they wanted the the number of the phone. I said, well, I don't have a phone yet. So they sent me 3 different SIM cards. One for T-Mobile, one for AT&T.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, and did that fix it?
Well, I didn't buy my new phone yet.
Oh, I see. So yeah, it's a problem with the gateway, and it could be, and this is why probably a call to tech support's a good idea. It could be a setting in the phone that is incorrect, is misconfigured. Phones are supposed to download their proper settings once they get on a network, but maybe it didn't. I think the first thing to find out is what service you're using with Straight Talk. Because as I remember, Straight Talk can use a variety of services, including AT&T and T-Mobile. And it sounds to me that the gateway between, it's interesting, you've noticed that you can get text messages from two, but not all three carriers. So it seems to me that that's a problem with their gateway. In fact, they should be seeing the same problem, unless there's something about your phone settings, they should be seeing the same problem for other customers as well.
What should I tell them to do?
Well, they're supposed to tell you. I don't, you've given them all the information they need. The problem is you get these level 1 people with the chickens, and he's just got a notebook, and he's just going, well, let me see. Page 22 says, I don't know. Page 24 says, oh, well, and I think he did the right thing transferring you. Unfortunately, their phone system sounds kind of funky, and it's not working very well. I don't know if there's you've I'm sure done this, but what you might do is power the phone all the way down, take out the SIM, put it back in, power the phone all the way up, and hope that it goes, oh, I'm silly, I was on the wrong network, and get everything working. That kind of thing.
Should I power the phone back up without the SIM card in it?
You could if you want. You still have to power it down before you put the SIM in. You probably shouldn't put the SIM in when it's on. I mean, you can. I do.
Understand.
Yeah. The idea is just kind of trying to, it's the same thing as kicking it. You're just kicking it to see if it'll wake up.
Use a hammer.
Yeah, a hammer might also work. That's in the military, they call that percussive maintenance.
We call it Brogan maintenance.
Boom! Just hammer, just hit it on the side. But in effect, that's what this is, turning it all the way off and on again. You could be, so TracFone, which is actually owned by Verizon, I believe, and they sell under the name Straight Talk at Walmart, which is where you got this.
Right.
They offer service from all of them. So, and you don't know who you have. I think if somebody's saying, and this makes sense, if you did a speed test, you'd see whose network you were on. Okay. And it's not going to be AT&T because that's who you can't get messages from. But and I'm not sure. I'd have to ask somebody who's an expert on this stuff. Who's responsible for the gateway if you're on an MVNO? I would assume it's the parent company. So if you're on T-Mobile, it's T-Mobile's responsibility. But of course, you can't call T-Mobile. That's one of the reasons it's low cost. T-Mobile says, well, we'll sell you the data, we'll sell you the phone service, but you can't use our reps. That's expensive. And that's, by the way, why you have a rep who's got chickens in the backyard. They're saving a little money. I mean, you got to cut somewhere if you're going to cut somewhere. So TracFone's owned by Verizon, but they also resell service from everybody else, including Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T. The fact that you can't get text messages from one carrier means the gateway to that carrier is not working. Reset the phone. Maybe it will go, redo its APN and other settings to get working again. That's my best guess. You could ask them. They will have this in the notebook. What the data settings should be for your phone. They call them the access point name or APN settings. And if those are incorrect, that could be part of it. So the way, and you can look in your settings, you can actually, if you go to the connection settings for carriers, you go into the carrier, you'll see what your APN settings are. You could ask them, hey, what should my APN settings be? Honestly, you're going to get a better result by Googling it, I think.
I tried all that kind of stuff resetting. You use Google, nothing happened.
Nothing.
No.
Yeah, look for the, so if you Google APN settings for Straight Talk and put the model in and see if you can find it. I bet you those APN settings do not go to T-Mobile, Sprint, or AT&T. They go to Straight Talk instead. But if they...
Would that be a Rhode Island red?
Say, hey, I love the blue eggs. You got any blue eggs? Isn't that funny? My personal trainer, I work out in his barn, and he has 20. I found out he has 24 chickens. That's a lot of eggs. It's a lot but he has 5 boys, so he needs them. Hey, and maybe he's also working on the side for Straight Talk. I don't know.
No, because you can hardly understand them.
Yeah. You got some farm somewhere. Jerry, I don't have a better answer for you. Give that a try. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy Spaceman, next. So here he is on Straight Talk's website, APN settings. Let me see if I can... APN settings. First, I have to say I'm not a robot. Now I have to show pictures of chimneys. Oh, I hate this. All right, we're going to do the CAPTCHA. Here we go. Text. Try this. How to update your settings. Try this. This might work, Jerry. This is from Straight Talk's webpage. Text APN to 611-611.
Okay.
They will send you back what your settings should be. You could also, on the Straight Talk page, enter your phone number or SIM for detailed programming instructions. This is the one thing I think would be worth trying. This is I'll put the link in our show notes to the Straight Talk page. It says how to get your APN settings.
Okay.
That APN is just for data, but it may well be that they're doing texting over data. Well, look at this. And here's another article. 7 ways to fix TracFone not receiving text messages. Not connected to mobile data, unresolved issues with your texting app, problematic third-party apps, change your location, reboot your TracFone. That's the one we suggested. Update your software. I'm sure you're up to date. Clear your messaging apps, data, and cache. Wipe out cache. Anyway, I'll put this at techguylabs.com, and you can try these.
All right, yeah.
These 7 things are just spitballing, but hey, it gives you something to do. I try that APN settings thing. See if that fixes it. Okay?
Frustrating.
I know.
Thank you, Leo.
There's no support in the world. The world is supportless. Take care, Jerry. Always a pleasure.
All right, bye.
Bye. It's time for Radio Broadcasters in Space. Rod Pyle is here. He's our spaceman, the author of First on the Moon, a 50th anniversary, beautiful coffee table book featuring a foreword by Buzz Aldrin. He's also the editor-in-chief of Ad Astra magazine from the National Space Society, and he joins us every week to talk about space. You were in Iowa last week.
I was in Iowa at the Celebrate Innovation Live conference, which I've been to 3 or 4 times now. I had a very cool panel with Jerry Griffin, who was a flight director during the Apollo, all of the Apollo program, part of Gemini, and most of the shuttle. And Andy Aldrin, who's Buzz's son, but who's also a force of nature in commercial spaceflight himself. So that was cool. But as you know, cooler still was my encounter with Farpoint, because one of the speakers of this conference was John Delancey, who, of course, famously played Q in Star Trek.
He's quite the geek, actually. He's a great guy. I don't know him personally, but I know a lot of people who do know him, and they love him. He's fun. He played Q, which was the best character on
on the Next Generation and beyond. And what's kind of interesting about that character, I mean, he's Shakespearean in aspect at all times, right?
Yeah,
so that character, as he said in his talk, he said, that character wasn't that much of a stretch, because I really am kind of a snarky, sarcastic guy. And he's very clever. But he's very versatile. And the series was kind of struggling at the middle of season 2. They were having trouble finding their audience. Ratings were down, and then they brought in Delancey back. He had been in the pilot, but they brought him back as Q in an episode called Q Who, which is a terrible title, and the Borg at the same time. And it just all boats lifted.
I loved the really Borg too.
Great in the series.
Yeah.
Well, and what great 2 characters. If you want to open up your story arcs, you get this guy from the Continuum who can do anything at the snap of his fingers. It's magic, right? Now you have a sorcerer on the ship, and then you bring in the Borg, who are this kind of faceless collective metaphor for communism in the 80s and all that. And it was just brilliant. And I just rewatched that episode last night, and I thought, okay, yeah, that really did pivot. But so pardon my gushing, I'm a bit of a fanboy. But he walked in the room, and we had met once or twice, but because actors are smart and they make sure that they remember everybody, he said, "Have we met?" And I said, "Yeah," for like 30 seconds on the set. And we got to talking, and I didn't realize he was the son of an oboe player in the Philadelphia Philharmonic
Wow.
Symphony.
Wow.
And I was the son of a horn player in the LA Philharmonic, and I knew that he had done some kids' concerts with Los Angeles and other orchestras, but I didn't realize he was an orchestra brat like I was, but he's taken it on. He directs opera.
Oh,
he
that's
does
neat.
all these orchestra collaborations. So he's really a versatile and fascinating guy. And like you said, very, very smart and very interested in science.
Yeah, yeah. How fun. So what was this conference? Was it
It's called Celebrate Innovation Live, and it's put on by a provost at a college in Des Moines named Anthony Poston, and it's a really cross-cultural selection of thinkers and doers. So he had a hacker on there.
Oh.
He had a woman who was the science consultant for Star Trek. He had Delancey. He had me and the Apollo
What
guys
fun.
and New Space guys. And then lots of other, people from music, people from the arts. He had a glass blower, but they're all tops in
Wow.
their field. Yeah.
Wow.
So they come and they do these hour-long talks, and then the next thing you know, you're switching to something completely different. Maybe a guy who raises chickens in Petaluma. It could be anything.
I'd like to
long as
volunteer. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think you should come and talk about podcasting.
Sure,
You know,
sure.
that's my opinion. But and he pays his speakers, which is nice too.
That's very nice.
But it's just it's a very nice, small, regional.
I
look
like
at
the idea
things
of
that are changing the world.
cross discipline, because sometimes we get in
Yes.
our little silos of information with the people who are all working in the same field, and you don't get a lot of out of the box thinking when you do that. And so it's nice to bring people from different disciplines together. I love
Yeah,
that.
and you're not when you're talking to the people you meet at the conference. You're not just talking to other space people or other radio people or other guitar players. You know, you're talking to people
Right.
from all different backgrounds. And of course, you go to a place like Des Moines, which is a smaller community. And you know, I write books, but I'm kind of a B-list author. So there's a couple of me lying outside the liquor store in the gutter all over Los Angeles, so people don't pay attention to us. But they're like, "Oh, you've written books?" Yeah. And how much time do we have left?
We have 3 minutes and 54 seconds. But who's counting?
So, well, we do have a couple of stories. So Scott Kelly, one of the two Kelly brothers, Scott and Mark.
Commander
Scott-
Kelly, as I call him.
Yes. Commander Kelly went up and did the year in space for the twin study.
Amazing.
Has been getting in a little bit of a Twitter battle with the cornball head of the Russian Space Agency, who we don't like anymore. And he gave back the medal that the Russians gave him for his year in space.
Yes.
As a protest the invasion
Yes.
of Ukraine. I love this. He said, this guy's a patriot. He said, please give it to a Russian mother whose son died in this unjust war.
Oh, wow.
And then
wow.
he immediately got blocked on social media, or whatever
course.
of it
Yeah.
survives over there.
We don't like that. It's terrible.
Yeah,
Making fun of.
but before and after, he got into a bit of a Twitter battle with the head of the Russian Space Agency, Rogozin. What did he say? Kelly said, without those flags and foreign exchange they bring in, your space program won't be worth a damn. Maybe you can find a job at McDonald's if McDonald's still exists in Russia.
Oh.
And Rogozin wrote back, get off, you moron. Otherwise, the death of the International Space Station will be on your conscience.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, no,
Then
this
we
was
shouldn't get in
serious.
Twitter battles, or nobody ever wins a Twitter battle.
They're not productive, are they?
Now, they did threaten to abandon the American astronaut on the ISS. They're not going to do that, are they?
No, this is just, loud talk.
Rogozin is a political appointee. He's not a scientist. He's there.
No, and
he's Putin's
a bit
guy.
I may be going a step too far, but he's a bit of a court jester.
Yeah.
He does run the program nominally, but
the scientists wouldn't
it
ever
operates
do
without
that.
him.
Yeah.
No, nor would the engineers, and nor would the other mid-management people, unless Putin came along and said, I got a little radioactive pellet in my pocket. I'm telling you, you ought to do these things.
Please.
And you go, yes, sir.
Rogozin himself said recently that Van der Heij will come home, that we're not going to strand him out there. Yeah.
Well, and even if they tried, I mean, we've had issues where people have stayed over on the space station longer than they were supposed to, and you just come home in another rocket. So that could mean that the next SpaceX flight, one of the next few SpaceX flights that goes up, takes 2 people instead of 3, or 3 instead of 4, and then you bring home whoever's left. So it's not a disaster.
Van der
Either way.
Heij's
The bigger
on track to break Scott Kelly's record, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah.
The bigger problem is, if the Russians decide to take their toys and go home, which they have I think 5 modules on the station now, and they're integrated into the core structure.
That'd be the end of the ISS.
If they actually try to decouple them, that's probably the end of it. Yeah. But if they just kind of leave them there and say we don't like you anymore, and extort some money from us for them, then we could continue running it just by having those things in place.
Van Nuys scheduled to come back March 30th on a Soyuz capsule landing in Kazakhstan. I'm not sure if I'm him. I might say, can I stay a little longer and wait for the other guys? I want to take a different bus today.
Could be a chilly reception down there in more ways than one.
Yeah, and you have to stay there for a while, right, to get debriefed and everything?
You can. In his case, there might be a little bit of recovery time, but I suspect we'd scoop him up pretty quick because he's
been up there since April. Last year, April.
But you don't need to be debriefed by the Russians. You just need to be.
They might want to debrief him. What do you know? When do you know? Who are you telling?
We don't know where the capsule came down. And also,
I'd be nervous.
SpaceX has been continuing to defend their Starlink ability in Ukraine, so maybe we could talk about that a little bit next week.
Good. That's Mr. Rod Pyle, Editor-in-Chief at Astra, space.nss.org to get your subscription. Thank you, Rod. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. He will have the American record for longest human spaceflight mission, 355 days, almost a full year. In microgravity, the poor guy probably going to be a little weak for a while.
Yeah, it's really tough when you get back.
Yeah.
So we did our second public This Week in Space.
Yay. Oh, I forgot to plug that. I will plug that next. Yeah.
No sweat. And it was fun. We got to talk about amateur rocketry.
Get off, you moron. Death of ISS will be on your conscience.
You fly your toy rockets to ISS,
silly boy.
you American swine. Yeah.
Silly boy.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, man.
It's not good.
Yeah.
And I just don't, there's plenty of opinions out there from the thinkers. I'm not sure I see a path forward for this alliance. And it hasn't been that great for us anyway. This was an olive branch held out to Russia.
That's right. I think we are doing them a favor. Yeah.
Well, and we paid for, depending on how you parse the dollars and what numbers you see, at least 2/3 of the space station.
Right.
So they had rockets, they had a few modules, but it was really the
How
space
about the Chinese?
Are
they involved in the space station?
No, they are precluded legally from being involved by the Wolf Amendment and various ITAR restrictions, which is why the Chinese and the Russians now have a new space alliance.
Right.
They're going to go do their moon base while we're trying to go do our moon base with our Artemis partners. So, yeah, it's doing this again.
Yeah.
We've been here before, Leo.
Yeah.
We called it the space race. Now we call it the angry competition.
What a world, what a world.
Yeah, but it's interesting, watching China kind of be very sort of center rail on what's going on now. It's irritating a lot of people, but at least they're not immediately falling into that camp 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Oh, and here's the Q picture I should have been showing.
Oh, that scene was so embarrassing. And, those serapes were unwrapped in plastic bags like 5 minutes before the scene, right?
They look pretty fresh. Straight
but
out
he did bother with the fingerings of the trumpet because he's an orchestra guy.
That's
so you got to give
cool.
him that.
That's kind of cool.
That scene was a little over the top.
That's pretty funny.
That is
pretty
cute.
Funny. Welcome to the afterlife, Jean-Luc. You're dead.
You're dead. And now Delancey's back in the new Picard series.
Oh, nice.
So now they're both old.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Like all the rest of us. What a character.
All right, Rod. Have a great week.
Thanks. You too.
All
See you
right,
next time.
Care. Bye-bye. Thank you for letting me be your tech guy one more time. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Thanks to Professor Laura, our musical director. Thanks to Kim Schaffer, the phone angel. Thanks of all people, most of all to you. Thank you for listening. Couldn't do it without you. Hey, also thanks to our folks on Team Tech Guy in the Discord chat. We have found out what that bubbling is. Well, there you go. Thank you. I guess Kev Brewer posted this. Apple has launched a quality program. Now, this was 5 years ago. So I don't. This was not the one that our caller was talking about. He had a 2017 MacBook Pro. But Apple did have a quality problem with MacBook Pro anti-reflective coating issues, and they were bubbling up very much like he described. So contact your Apple store. Maybe this is that problem cropping up again on later MacBook Pros. But they do, in fact, put an anti-glare coating on there. At least they did. They called it Staingate. Staingate. But this was for the 2015 MacBook Pros. But the fact that it happened then maybe is an indicator that maybe there was a problem. And I've seen that, actually, now that I see the pictures. This is an article from Mac Rumors. Now that I see the pictures of Mac Rumors, I go, oh, yeah, I know what he's talking about now. I also neglected to mention that Rod does a show now for our podcast network called This Week in Space with Tariq Malik from the space.com folks. And if you're really interested in space and you like listening to Rod talk about it with Tariq, you can find that at twit.tv/TWIS. This Week in Space. Episode 2 was published yesterday. So that's great. I forgot to plug that. Twists This Week in Space. Back to the phones we go. John is on the line from, I'm going to guess, Ligonier, Pennsylvania. How do you pronounce that?
Hello, Leo. It's Ligonier.
Ligonier. Hello, John. Welcome.
Thank you.
What can I do for you, my friend?
Well, I have a issue with my desktop HP. It's an older one, but not super old, and it's been freezing at startup. And let me also add that where I live here, I don't have any internet service, so I don't use it to get online.
Okay.
I only use it to watch DVD movies and listen to music.
Okay. How old is it?
It's probably 7, 8 years old, so it is pretty old.
Yeah, but not ancient. Just middle-aged, shall we say, for a laptop. So you turn it on, and do you hear it kind of powering up? You hear fans starting up and lights and beeps and stuff?
Yeah. It powers up. Sometimes
Windows comes up, and you see Windows. Which version of Windows are you using?
10.
10. So it comes up, and you even see the menus and all that stuff. But then at some point, it just freezes up.
At some point, exactly, it just freezes. It'll freeze in the middle of a DVD movie.
Is it most often with video running?
No. Sometimes it'll freeze right when it's booting up.
Okay.
And I'll have to hard
boot it and get it back, and it starts up again. So there's a few. The reason I'm asking, some of these symptoms are helpful in diagnosing it. There are a few things that can cause this. One is overheating. A computer, to protect itself when it gets too hot, will stop, and it'll look like it's frozen. It is, in effect. It's just stopped. It's halted the processor. That can happen with an aging computer, a middle-aged computer, because the cooling. They use a little substrate of heat-conducting chemical in between the processor and the fan that's glued onto the processor. That can dry out. The thermal paste, they call it. That can dry out. Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes, in that case, and it's not easy on a laptop, you can open it up and repaste it. Could be the fans have died or are clogged. Sometimes hair, other dust gets into it. The fans don't work as well. Sometimes opening it up, blowing it out helps.
I'm sorry. Let me clarify. This is a desktop.
Oh, it is a desktop. Well, that makes it much easier. You can at least look inside and make sure the fans are turning.
I did, yeah. I had it apart the other day, and I cleaned it, and I was thinking it might be the power supply.
Well, that's the thing. So now that's what I mean is there are multiple possible causes. That's why I'm asking if it happens after you use it for a while. But it's even when you're just booting, sometimes it happens. Usually if it's heat, you'll run it for a while, and you'll be doing things that generate more processor activity and cause it to be hotter. If it dies immediately, power supply could be, although usually it won't even boot up with a power supply. But that's a cheap component and fairly easy on a desktop to replace. Just a few screws. Don't open up the power supply because you can shock yourself. But the box itself you can unscrew, put a new one in. But then there are other possibilities. The most common failure on any computer is the moving part, the hard drive. And I'm guessing, given the age of that computer, it has a spinning hard drive, not a solid-state drive inside.
Correct, yes.
So that can also be a problem. Not, obviously it's working well enough to boot it up, but it could be that there is part of the operating system has gotten corrupted, and as a result, it's freezing there. In other words, it could be hardware. So that was the first two things we talked about, or it could be software.
Yeah.
So, and it's very hard to diagnose. Usually what I would recommend, you always want to do the easiest thing first before you go out and install a new power supply, is try either resetting Windows or maybe booting to an external drive with Windows on it. You want to try and see if it's the software on that internal hard drive. It could be the drive itself. It could just be damaged software.
Okay.
So you want to somehow boot without it. One of the easiest ways to do this, download a copy of Linux, any Linux. Ubuntu is a good one. Put it on a USB thumb drive and boot to that. And if everything works and you don't have any freezing, then it's a software issue.
Okay.
Because you've, in effect, replaced the software, including the video driver. That's another thing that sometimes is a problem. Video driver having a bug and crashing over time. The fact that it crashes on first boot sometimes eliminates kind of heat, eliminates the issue of bad video driver.
Okay.
But it could easily be the hard drive or the software on the hard drive. So the first thing I do is download Ubuntu, put it on a USB drive. You might have to go into your BIOS setup and say boot to the USB drive, boot up, and then play with it. See if you can get it to crash. If you can, now it's hardware. You've eliminated software completely.
I did get one error message, which was unexpected kernel mode trap.
Good. And that's a good sign. That leads me more to being a software problem, although that can happen with hardware as well.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's because these are really complicated beasts, right? And so there's a whole lot of things that can go wrong. So troubleshooting is really trying to kind of narrow it down. The fact that a kernel, that's software, but if you had a bad power supply that was giving it low power, that could trigger the same kind of error message.
Is that right?
There's a whole variety of things. But that's good. Let's hope. So boot up into Linux, see if it's working all right. Do all the things that usually crash it. Run video. Try to really break it. And remember, it's going to work a little slower because it's running off a USB key instead of off the internal drive. But if everything works fine there, good news. Just wiping the drive, reinstalling Windows, you'll be good.
Okay, I'll give that.
If not, you're right. Power supply is a very common failure. The two most common are power supply because it's heating and cooling, they'll have expansion, and the spinning hard drive for the same reason. Those are the two most common things. Check a BIOS update. That could also be it. There's a lot of different things that can cause something like this. But
hopefully I'll get, I'm waiting on Starlink for internet.
Oh, exciting. You're going to finally get some internet. How have you survived in Ligonier, Pennsylvania, without access to the outside world?
And I barely get a cell phone signal here.
Wow. But it's beautiful, right? It's gorgeous, right?
It is. It's the Laurel Highland. It's beautiful up here, but it's 2022 and I don't have internet service. There's something wrong with that.
Hey, it's a pleasure talking to you, John. Have a great day. I hope you find the problem. Those are very hard. Those intermittent problems, very hard to track down. Hey, thank you all for being here. Don't forget techguylabs.com. We'll put all the links on the website. We'll put audio and video from the show, the transcripts too. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Folks, have a great Geek Week. Bye-bye. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.